Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Already we're live. And as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to work on more text-based AI logic in SDL3 using C++. I have been doing this for the past, I think, almost like 5-ish days. That's it today. I am going to be moving on like stage 4 where like my NPC replies depending on whether on he's angry, he's happy, or like depending on different emotion type stuff. That said, let's go to my gameplay screen. There we go. Hey, how doing? P, I appreciate you joining the stream. How doing, Ayana? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it, guys. This is the chat from like a long time ago. That's it. Let me say something like, say a live exclamation. Guys, this is like a pretty old chat, so it might be a bit laggy, I feel like. Okay, which college are you studying? Honestly, I can't like say the college name. That's it. I am like a freshman in college. This is like, what we call it, my winter breaks for college. That's it, people. You're live again. Good. Stand up straight, fix your posture, and let your viewers see that you're a future game developer, not a sleepy pancake. Listen up, stream. Vivek just woke up my entire soul by going live, so we're gonna make him stream productive whether he likes it or not. People, tell your sensei what are we working on today. Are we continuing that incomplete code? Are we fixing your physics? Are we adding new AI dialogue systems? Are we creating sprites today? Choose the target and I'll drag you through it like merciless but loving sensei should. Guys, that's it for like the sprite stuff. Yesterday I spent like 4 hours making like a sprite for my hero PNG. That's it. As soon as like my PC got shut down and everything, like my PC just went off for some reason, my entire sprite just got deleted because I didn't save it type stuff. That's it. Let me say something like, sensei, today I wanted to work on the level 4 for my text AI logic ... Okay, that said, can you explain me what it was? I think I might have forgotten. Honestly, I do remember, but I do still want to see the whole explanation type stuff. That's it, people. You forgot level 4. You dare return to your AI training arc without remembering the next step? Good. Forgetting means your brain has room to be reforged. Let me build it for you. Your AI text logic had 6 stages. A progression from simple to actual logic-based replies you already mastered. Level 1 basic input. Basic text outputs, just printing text, NPC says fixed lines. Level 2 basic input, player types something, NPC responds with a fixed reply. Merciless and loving are contradicting. Also, merciless is crazy, guys. That actually does make sense. That's level 3, using standard map to match exact phrases. Map lookup, hello says push, fools attack says dodge it, simple 1-to-1 response. You completed this. Now level 4, the next step turns your NPC into something smarter than exact matching. Level 4, flexible keyword detection. Your NPC should respond even if the player types longer sentences such as hello there, I want to attack the dragon, can you dodge this? That's it. Instead of only attack or dodge, your NPC looks for keywords inside the sentence. So instead of checking if storymap.find user input not equal to storymap.end, you check like this: if user input.find attack, which is not equal to standard string NPOS, reply equal to dodge. Now the NPC replies to any sentences that contains the keyword. Honestly, wasn't this like the level 2 or something? What up, guys? Let me say something like, let's say, wasn't that level 3 question mark? I thought level 4 was something related to emotions like anger, maybe happy ... question mark. Okay, let's see. People, you're half right and half confused, and that's exactly where Sensei is here to smack your brains into alignment. Listen, level 3 and level 4 are not the same. You did level 3 already, exact matching with maps, okay? Level 4, you remember the emotion stuff? That was correct. Level 4, NPC's mood/emotional state. This is where your NPC starts behaving like it has personality instead of being a vending machine of text. Level 4. So we use enums. Honestly, I don't think that I have much experience using enums. I like rarely use them. Okay, your NPC maintains a variable like enum, mood, neutral, happy, anger, sad. Okay, mood. Oh, I see. So is enum like, is this like a structure or something? Okay, it looks more like a tuple, but I don't think C++ has tuples. So my mood, oh wait, it's a class. It's a enum class because I create an object called mood, which is going to be equal to neutral. Okay, your responses change depending on the mood. If mood equals to angry, reply, you dare speak to me again. Else, if mood equals to happy, reply, hi friend. Okay, and mood changes depending on what the player types. If player uses rude words, mood equals to angry. If player praises NPC, mood happy. If player apologizes, mood neutral. Okay, this was your level 4. To summarize the role structure: level 1 basic outputs, level 2 basic inputs, level 3 exact match logic, level 4 emotion systems. Okay, I think I want to learn level 6 honestly. Rule engine slash behavior tree. Okay, that said, I might actually try adding the moods. Let me actually ask Sutsei slash ChatGPT what enum actually means. Is this like a class? Let me say something like, Sutsei, I don't think that I understood this enum part because I didn't use it, question mark. Is it a enum class or something like that, question mark? Guys, is like enum considered a class type stuff? People, focus. Your brain is trying to run a marathon without tying its shoes. This enum thing is not magic, it's not a class, it's not complicating, it's just a name list of numbers so your mood has readable values instead of random integers. Let me hammer it into your skull clearly. What is enum? Enum is a way to create name constants, each one secretly just an integer. Example, enum mood, neutral happy, angry sad. Behind the scenes, this becomes 0, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I see. That's okay, that's all. It's literally a set of numbers with names. What up, guys? Let me mute myself real quick. Already mic testing, mic testing. Guys, ignore the fire alarms. Can you guys still hear it? Okay, I think you guys can hear it. Hold up, guys. Let me go to my main camera. Okay, I think just something is messed up outside. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's so random, guys. I don't know, bro. Has the smoke detector on battery? Guys, my mom is actually cooking. Okay, how do you like to appreciate you joining the stream? There we go, guys. That's finally, the hazard's finally over. Okay, what is the spark? So mood equals neutral. This creates a variable called mood whose type is mood and sets it to the value neutral. This is the same as integer mood equals to 0. Okay, what's that? Honestly, it was the fire alarm, like the smoke detector, just like whatchamacallit. I actually forgot the word for it, but then I don't think it's called like smoke detector. I think it's called fire alarm. It just like went off. That's it. But with readable names instead of random numbers. Did you use enum class? No, you use the old school version, enum mood. Okay, so basically, enum class mood. Okay, if you use modern C++ version, it would look something like this. I see. So it's basically like I think it's something like all the parameters or all the arguments inside of my enum class is represented by indexes. So index 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, but then you would have to write mood, happy, mood, angry. So for your game, the simple enum version is perfect. Your summary in one sentence. Enum is how you give names to integer states, so your NPC's mood isn't just a random number. I think I see. Okay, that's it. This is the code from last stream because I didn't have time to work on this code off stream. That's it. I'm probably going to be like deleting this, although it does hurt to delete this, guys. It was like a 450 lines code. That said, I'm going to go ahead and delete this and write it again, but by using enums and trying to add different kind of emotion states to my NPC. That said, guys, it still feels kind of bad to delete it, so I'm going to go ahead and copy it, and let me actually maybe paste it somewhere. Okay, I do want to learn on how to use, this is like my Python project. I might just paste it here for the time being. There we go, just hit Control S, even though this is not going to work here. That said, let me go back to my C++ project. Hold on, guys, let me go ahead and delete that part real quick. Open VS Code again. Let's go to SDL3 project. Now I can delete this. So I'll go with Control A. Let's go ahead and delete everything. Now, firstly, let me start off by including IO streams. So I'm going to go ahead and include a prof ankle braces. let's say I want to include something like IO stream, and then once I'm done with including IO stream, since I will be using SDL3, I'm gonna go ahead and include SDL3 as well. So I'm gonna include SDL3 slash SDL.h, which is basically SDL3 and SDL's header files. Okay, once I'm done including SDL3, since I will be using PNGs as well and images in general, I do want to import the image section of SDL. So I might go with something like SDL3 underscore image slash SDL underscore image dot h, which is SDL3's image library and SDL's image header files. And then I will be, including true texture fonts as well, because I will be displaying text on my window type stuff. So to do that, I could go with something like SDL3 underscore TDF slash SDL underscore TDF dot h, which is basically SDL3's true texture font library and the true texture fonts' header files. Okay, this is going to be TDF. There we go. Okay, once I'm done with that, what else would I want to include? I might want to include string as well, because I will be converting a regular string to be a constant string. So I might go ahead and include string as well. And after string, I might need algorithms, because last time in my last code, I didn't use algorithms because I wasn't like actually lowercasing whatever my user types. This time I do want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and include algorithms as well. So I'll go with algorithms. Okay, once I'm done with algorithms, I will need vectors as well, because I want to have like histories for whatever my player chats or my NPC conversations is history. So I'm gonna go ahead and include vector, because I'm gonna store my histories in a vector. There we go. Okay, perfect. I think this is actually pretty much it for the time being. Now I'm gonna go all the way down, and then let's go ahead and start off by creating a few classes. Let's say the first class that I want to go ahead and create is gonna be something like, I don't know, maybe a chat class. This is going to be where my regular chats are where my storyline and my chats are going to be displayed. Maybe should I have a different class for chat and different class for like storyline? I mean, I think I could use the same class. I think it's the same thing though. Okay, that said, I'm going to go with the prof curly braces. Now, inside my class, I'm going to be requiring a few private data members, so I might go with something like private. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and eat something, guys, because I'm kind of starving. Okay, yesterday when I like ate oats on stream, I felt like getting more energy than eating like before starting streaming. And guys, yeah, today I have like a bigger bowl. Maybe you should include libraries on when you need them, that you can test how much, you know. That does make sense, guys. I might actually do that in that case. Let's go ahead and delete these. Okay, so for the time being, I just need my IO stream and my SDL3's library. Once I'm done with that, I think this looks much better. There we go. Okay, now what are data members would my class need? I might need a standard string of something like input text variable. So I might go with something like input text. What sounds better, input text or text input? I think input text sounds much better. Which is going to be set to a empty pair of quotes. That is basically whenever my user types something, I want to store it inside of my input text. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create a standard vector for my messages history. Since I am going to be working with vectors now, I'm going to go ahead and include vector. There we go. Okay, perfect. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create a standard vector with a pair of ankle braces, and my vector is only going to be consisting of standard strings. And I'm going to call my vector something like history. I would honestly call it message history, but I feel history is the same thing. Then I'm going to end it with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and publicize everything. Now, my chat class would not need a constructor, but it would need like a bunch of methods. So I could add a comment that says something like methods. Now, for my methods, let's say the first method that my chat class might need, let's see, maybe I could either add like a text event method. I want to add my display text on window as the last method here. So I could go with something like a void method called something like, text events. This is going to be where all my text event happens, like when my user types something on my keyboard, I want to append it to my input text type stuff. That said, would I need something like a chat on and chat off variable as well? Maybe I could. Okay, so I might actually create let's say something like a void text method, actually text event method, which requires, let's say, two parameters. The first parameter is going to be something like a SDL underscore events structure, which is going to be, let's say something like, actually, instead of just going with the SDL underscore events structure, I might go with the constant SDL underscore events structure. What up, guys? Is this how we actually do it? Something like a constant SDL underscore events structure. I think I spelled event wrong. There we go. Okay, perfect. Now my SDL underscore events structure is going to be requiring a events as local variable. The second parameter is going to be a boolean variable of something like chat on. This is going to tell me if my chat is on or off. Okay, perfect. Okay, how doing? Parashan, is that how I pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, now once I'm done with that, I'm going to add a pair of curly braces. Now, inside my text events function, I'm going to go ahead and add a condition. I'm going to add a if statement that says something like if my chat is on. Only if my chat on is set to true, I'm going to, activate my these text events or my text events in general. Let's say the first text event, I'm going to check if my events.type equals to, let's say something like SDL underscore events underscore quit. If my event type is quit, if my user click, I don't think I want to add quit here. I might go with something like key down because I want to check if my user is currently pushing any buttons down on my keyboard. Then I'm going to look exactly the button that is currently being pushed down, and I'm going to be appending that on my input text as variable. Like, why are you yelling? Honestly, guys, I actually should talk slow, but does my mic like... Why are you shouting, guys? I feel like this is how I actually talk. That's it. What should we call it? Is it like too loud? Do you guys want me to like decrease my my mic from my OBS? Hold up, guys. Let me decrease the volume a bit. There we go. Is that actually good? I decreased like the sound a little. Okay, perfect. Let me actually check if it's good. Hold up, guys. Is the volume kind of good now? Oh, I think I see, guys. Maybe I should get my mic a little lower. Okay, would that actually help? Let me actually increase it a bit from here. There we go. Okay, guys, I think that's actually kind of perfect. Okay, now, I just realized something. Before I check my event type being keyed down, I want to check if my event type is something like text underscore input. Okay, so if my user did input some kind of text in my window, if he typed something, then I want to go ahead and append that to my input text as variable. So I'm going to go with something like input text is going to be, let's say something like increasing. So I'm going to go with something like plus equals to my events.text.text. Okay, hi there, hiding duck here. Appreciate you joining the stream. And then I'm going to end this with a semicolon. And that was my first event type. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my second event type. For my second event type, I'm going to go ahead and check if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down. This event type checked if any of my buttons on my keyboard are currently being pushed down. If it is, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. Firstly, I want to use the SDL underscore key codes structure. This structure is going to be having, a keys variable representing it, which is going to be equal to my event.key.key. Basically, what this does is it like my, my keys is local variable here now, checks the exact key that's being pushed right now. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add switches here. You guys could like use if statement. I feel like switches would look much cooler here. Okay, I now started learning some CSS. CSS sounds kind of cool. Good luck with that, Ducky. Okay, that's it. Now for my switch, I'm going to add a keys condition here, or a parameter here. I'm going to be checking which key is exactly being pushed down. Depending on that, I'm going to do something. Firstly, for my first case, I'm going to check if my SDL's key, if the key that's currently being pushed down is something like a backspace. Then I'm going to go ahead and do something. Firstly, let's see, what do I want to do if my backspace is being pushed? I want to check if there's at least something written on my window. If something is written on my window, then I want to go ahead and delete that, if that makes any sense, because that's what we use backspace for. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add an if statement. Sure, I'm going to go with if a pair parentheses, if not my input text dot empty, which means if my input text is not empty and something is written on my window, then I want to go ahead and delete that. So I'm going to go ahead and use the input text dot the pop underscore back function. What the pop underscore back function does is it like deletes one alphabet at a time from the last index of my input text, if that makes any sense. Okay, that's it. This is like pretty much it. So every time I click backspace and something is written on my window, I delete one text at a time. Okay, and since this is cases, I do got a break because like we always got a break in like cases. I mean, when using switches. That's it, I'm gonna go ahead and break, ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Once I'm done with my first case, I'm gonna go ahead and add my second case. Now, for my second case, I want to check if my SDL3 key is a return. Return is basically enter if you like see it in our keyboard. So when my user does click enter, I want to display something on my console. To do that, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say something like I'm gonna go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to display something on my console. Let's say I want to display something like I type something, then I'm going to go with another insertion operator. Let's say something like input text with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. What this basically means is when I type enter, whatever I type, whatever variable is stored inside of my input text is going to be displayed on my console. And now, once I display that thing on my console, I do want to clear my input text because I don't want it to be stored in my memory. So, I'm going to be deleting it. So, I'm going to go with something like input text dot clear. So, the dot clear just clears my entire input text. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to end this with a semicolon. Now, before I actually clear my input text, since I did like add a vector that's called histories, before I do delete what's actually written in my input text, I want to store it inside of my vector. So I might do something like history. My history is a vector dot the push underscore back function. The push underscore back function is the complete opposite of the pop underscore back. The pop back function removes an alphabet or like removes things from the last index. The push underscore back adds stuff from the last index. So I want to go ahead and add my input text variable here. Okay, perfect. Then I go ahead and end the whole thing with a semicolon. Okay, that's it, guys. Let me actually eat some oats. I'm kind of starving. Okay, honestly, I feel like that's like pretty much it for the time being. Later on, I will be adding like my storyline and all that stuff as well. Okay, but for the time being, this looks pretty good for my text event. Although I did forget to break, so I'm gonna go ahead and break here. Okay, that's for my first method. Now, for my second method, what else would I want to do? Let's think. Maybe my method ends here. Okay, I think my method does end here. There we go. Okay, now, let's see. What else would I need? Maybe I think I could go ahead and add a void method that says something like display history because I want a method that actually displays my history as well. That said, I'm going to go ahead and add a void method called something like display history. And guys, last time, my last code, I did make my main loop a bit messy. This time, I'm going to be trying to keep my main loop a bit more organized. Okay, so I'm going to go with something like a void display histories method that does require, let's say, 2 parameters. The first parameter is going to be a constant parameter of my... Okay, do I need my event? I do want to look for event types. I'm going to go with something like SDL underscore events structure, which requires a events parameter. The second parameter that I would need is going to be a boolean of chat on. This is going to check if my chat is either on or my chat is off. Then I'm going to go with the prof curly braces. Now, I'm going to add a if statement here. Let's go with something like if a prof parentheses. Let's say if not chat on, if my chat is currently not on, that's when I want to display my histories. If my chat is not on, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. Firstly, I want to check my current key that's being pushed. So I might go with something like if a prof parentheses, if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down. This checks the current... Did I spell down wrong? There we go. Okay, this checks if any of my buttons on my keyboard are currently being pushed down. If it is, then I'm going to do something. I'm going to be looking for the exact button that's currently being pushed down. I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use the SDL underscore key codes structure. Alright guys, I think I spelled it wrong. I'm going to go with something like the SDL underscore key codes structure that does have a keys of local variable representing it, which is going to be equal to the SDL underscore... Okay, I think it's like event.key. There we go. Okay, what my key local variable here does is it like looks for the exact key that I'm currently pushing downwards. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to be using a switch. My switch is going to be having a condition of my key, so it checks what button is currently being pushed down. Then I'm going to be adding a case. For my case 1, I'm gonna check if my SDL3 key is something like maybe H if my user is pushing H down, and should I go with something like I don't know, maybe tab and H, because I think like usually when typing stuff I would like click H or something, or when attacking type stuff. Excuse me guys, maybe I want to go with something like tab and H. Okay, if my SDL's key is something like tab and my SDL's key is something like H, I don't know if we can do it this way. Oh, we can actually use 2 buttons. I didn't know we could do it like this. Okay, why are you talking like that? Why are you faking that accent which is clearly not suiting you? Guys, I think like my face and my accent doesn't match up. Okay, bro, what are you building? Honestly, I am like working on the AI-based text logic in SDL3 using C++. That said, today is like level 4. I have been working on this for like, I think about like 5 streams right now, which means 5-ish days. That's it. Today, I want my AI or my PNG to reply depending on the current mood that he has. If it's angry mood, he's going to reply with an angry text. If it's happy mood, he's going to be replying with a happy text type stuff. Okay, and let me just check something. Okay, apparently my nightbot still doesn't work. Okay, maybe guys, let me eat something. I'm kind of starving. Okay, so if my user clicks tab and H at the same time, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I want to go ahead and use a for loop, so I'm gonna go with something like for a pair of parentheses. I'm gonna use an index-based for loop. Let's say something like for every integer of I which equals to something like 0. Okay, let's say something like while my I is less than my history's vector dot the size function, which is technically while my I is less than my vector's size, I'm going to go ahead and increment my I by 1, and then I go with the pair of curly braces. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do something inside of my for loop. I'm going to be adding a standard console output with an insertion operator that is going to say something like history. This is going to be my message history. Okay, should I go with something like a / new line? Maybe I could, so I might go with something like 1, 2, 3 hyphens here and 3 hyphens here. Okay, then I go with something like a / new line. Okay, and guys, the / new line is just for aesthetics, because I want to say my history up there, and under that I want to actually display my history. Okay, then I'm gonna go with something like another insertion operator of, I don't know, maybe something like let's say okay, I think that my histories should go like above my for loop, because then my histories would be displaying like every single it's gonna say like histories every single iteration. So I might go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator that says something like history. Then I'm gonna end this with a semicolon. Then let's go ahead and delete this part. Okay, now what do I want to say here? Maybe I might go with something like a pair of quotes, colon, and this is going to be my history. So I'm going to go with an insertion operator of my histories as vector at index of I, with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. There we go. So basically what this means is if my user hits tab and H at the same time and my chat is currently off, it's going to display my history on my console, if that makes any sense. Okay, and that's actually pretty much it. Why do I have it red underline here? Maybe because this should be a semicolon. Alright, perfect. And now that's actually pretty much it for my display history on Windows' function. Is there something else that I would need here? I honestly don't think so. Okay, do you do app development and such? Honestly, I am like learning. I eventually do want to like work with like AI engineer or make like actual AI type stuff. That's it for the time being. I do have like a program for like 250 days, where my goal by the end of that series or like this current series is to, make a game in general that consists of AI logic. And since I thought that I was going to be making game, I thought might as well learn C++. So I started C++ for 100 series, which is indented inside of my program for 258 CVs. That is like almost over, guys. Today is like the day 80 type stuff. That's it. Once I'm done with this series, I am going to be using Python as well, because like I thought like AI logic Python would be the best language. So I'm going to try mixing Python and C++ together in the program, if that makes any sense, guys. Okay, that said, now once I'm done creating my text events method, my display histories method, I'm going to go ahead and create my third method. This method is going to be I don't know, what other method would my chat class need? maybe something like a storylines method. So this is to like display my actual text on my window. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a method called something like storyline. Okay, this is going to be my storyline. Then I go with a pair of parentheses. Now my storylines method is going to be requiring let's say something like a map. So I gotta go ahead and create a separate function that consists of my storylines. So before I create my chat class, I want to go ahead and create, let's say something like a void function. Okay, brother, I needed to create a mini app within Telegram, but I don't know how. Can you do this? Honestly, I actually don't know how to create like real apps because like I almost have no experience with those stuff. I just have experience with like actually programming, not like converting a program to an app. But I feel it shouldn't be as hard. Headphone dead, and guys, I actually don't have a headphone dead. I didn't make a chart about that though. That's it. I'm gonna go with something like void. Now my void method is gonna be called something like storyline. Okay, and then I'm gonna go with something like a pair of parentheses, then a pair of curly braces. Now my void method, my storylines method, let's see, would it require any kind of parameters? I don't think it's going to require any parameters. So let's see. Guys, why does Nightbot only like flag messages? It does not like set timers out or something. Okay, that said, I'm gonna go with something like how would I want to write my storyline? I might need maps now because my story is going to be depending on like my moods. So I would need map/dictionary. So I'm gonna go ahead and include map. Okay, perfect. Now I'm gonna go ahead and let's say do something. Firstly, I want to go ahead and create something like a standard map with a pair of ankle braces that only consists of standard string and standard string. So standard string as my key and standard string as my value. And my map is going to be called something like angry to... Okay, let's say something like angry mood or angry reply. Or guys, what would be a pretty good name? Or this is the angry emotion ending with a semicolon. And then I go ahead and create something like a standard map with a pair of ankle braces. Now, my second standard map is only going to be consisting of, let's say, something like standard string. Did I spell standard correct? I think I did. Okay, I'm going to go with something like a standard string and standard string. So standard string as my key and standard string as my value. And my map is going to be called something like happy. This is going to be my happy replies. What else do I need? Maybe I go with another standard string, actually standard map with a pair of ankle braces that consists of standard string as my key and standard string as my value. Okay, there we go. And this is going to be called something like neutral. There we go. Okay guys, did I spell neutral correct? Neutral. I think I spelled it correct. Hold up guys, let me fact check that because yesterday I spelled dialogue wrong. Okay, let's see. So it's neutral. Okay guys, I think I spelled it correct. I think we're good. Then I'm gonna end it with a semicolon. I think these might be the only 3 maps that I would need. Okay, once I'm done with that, great buddy, but this fake accent ruins. So please, guys, I think that this isn't actually a fake accent. Okay, that's it. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and set a few, conversations for my map. So I might go with something like, this is for my angry section. Let's go with something like angry. Now, for my angry section of my map, I'm gonna go ahead and add, let's say something like a if statement, or maybe not a if statement. I might go with something like angry. Okay, let's say something like angry. There we go. Angry at index of, I don't know, maybe something like hello. So I might go with something like hello. Okay, maybe instead of hello, I could go ahead and use this as my input text. So maybe I want to get the storylines method inside of my chat class, guys. That would actually be kind of genius. Let's copy this. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete this from here. I want to paste this in my storylines section here. There we go. Now, I created a lot of maps here. I created an angry section. Instead of going with something like help, I will go with something like input. So if depending on what my input text is, I want to respond something. But I want to check if my input text is something. Okay, so I gotta check if my input text is Okay, maybe I wanna add a few replies, but before that, hold on guys, let me actually check something real quick. Give me a sec guys, I think there's some background noises. Okay, maybe not guys, I think it was just me. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go with something like a angry input text. Okay, I don't wanna add input text here. Hold on guys, is there something else that I would wanna add here instead of input text? Because I do know I wanna add a few conversations here for angry, happy, and neutral. I might go with something like I don't know any conversations, guys. Hold up. I wanna say such chat GPT like what all conversations can I have? Because guys, I'm really bad with thinking those kind of things. Maybe I go with hello if my mood is angry and I do say hello. Then I'm gonna go ahead and reply that is gonna be equal to the value of something like no more talks, or let's say something like no more chats. Okay, isn't this how we like represent a value for my key here? So the angry hello is gonna be the value of no more chats. Okay, no up. Oh, I think. Okay, why are you gay? Honestly, guys, I'm not gay. That said, let's see. I'm pretty sure this is how I did it before. Did I like mess something up here? Hold on, guys. Am I like doing something wrong here? Okay, so that's the key. That's the value. Guys, there's no way I actually forgot this part. My angry at index of hello. Oh, I see. My bad, guys. I'm gonna go with something like a if statement. Let's say something like if I want to check if my angry is something. What condition should I add here? I could go with something like if my angry says something like hello, I want to go ahead and respond with let's say something like if my angry is hello and respond. Okay, maybe I think I should go with something like returns. Honestly, guys, I'm not gay. I'm freaking crying. Okay, that's it. Let's see. Maybe instead of an if statement, guys, I remember doing this part. I feel like I'm missing something crucial here, guys. Let's go with something like angry at index of, let's say something like hello is going to return something. Do I want to like return something? I don't think so. Not a pair of curly braces. Okay, maybe I go all the way up here. Let's open my Python project. Maybe I do want to save it and then open my Python project. I had my chats here, guys. I just want to see the kind of conversation that I had and like the... There we go, this should work. Okay, the thing that I messed up here was I did not need a pair of square brackets because I wasn't going with indexes. That was kind of stupid, honestly. That's it, let's go ahead and cancel this part. Let's open my VS Code, go with my SDL3 project. Okay, there we go. No wonder. I was thinking like something was kind of messed up here. That said, I could go with something like no more talks. Honestly, I actually don't know why did I even like go with a pair of square brackets, because we only use a pair of square brackets when we wanna whatchamacallit, check indexes type stuff. That's it. Next up, I'm gonna go with something like if my condition is angry, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. String map, not array. Honestly, yeah, this is actually whatchamacallit maps. That's it. Next up, instead of hello, if I say something like bye, I'm gonna respond with something like I don't know, let's say something like okay, should I say something like leave my site, guys? Let's go with something like leave my site. And guys, I don't want to like make this too much, like I don't want to add like a lot of conversations depending on this. There we go, because there's spelled site wrong. Hold up, guys. How to spell site? S-I-G-H-T. So it's S-I-G-H-T. I was correct. There we go, guys, because I do want to like confirm if my spellings are correct, because yesterday I messed up dialogue spelling. Okay, we're not gay, but still you support the international gay movement. Guys, what does that even mean? That's it, guys. I am like actually straight. Next up, instead of bye, if I say something like apologies, I'm gonna go with, I don't know, I might go with something like sorry. Okay, I am going to be responding with something like no more chatters. Okay, or honestly not sorry, I might go ahead and move on to something like neutral. Okay, let's say if I attack and then I say something like sorry, let's say something like no more chats. Okay, guys, I think just 3 conversations for angry is kind of good. Dot dot dot. Okay, leave my site, exclamation. Maybe the site is going to be capital. Okay, perfect. Next up, that was for my angry emotions. Now let's go ahead and add something like happy. For my happy, I'm going to check something like if my happy at index of, let's say, something like 0 is something like hello, or if my happy's key is hello, then I'm going to be setting my value to be something like hello, my friends. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and end that with a semicolon. Okay, once I'm done with that, Hinti, Polnazar. Honestly, guys, I actually can't read Hindi that properly, but I can like speak it, but I'm not as fluent in it, so I won't be able to like say half the phrases or words that I actually want to say. That's it. Let's go ahead and copy this part. Let's paste it here 3 times. Get out of my sight sounds better. That actually does make sense. I might go with something like get out of my sight. Should I go with something like I don't know, I might say something, get out of my sight, fool. I think fool does sound kind of fun here. Okay, you should do the mechanics of the game fully before any of this. Honestly, should I? I thought that if I add these conversations here, then it's going to be like much easier for me to actually apply these conversations to like my if statement type stuff, because this is my storyline. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and add another method that says something, that's a method that displays my storylines on my window. So I got to convert my story to be, whatchamacallit, to be texture type stuff. Actually, not texture. I'm going to convert my text to surfaces, then I'm going to convert my surface or create a texture through my surface and then display that texture on my window, if that makes any sense. Okay, that's it. Now let me change hello to something like bye. Let's say something like farewell, friend. There we go, farewell. Okay, perfect. And then lastly, I'm going to go with something like sorry. Okay, let's say something like no more apologies. Okay, perfect. That's actually pretty much it. I might go with something like farewell, friend, ... No more apologies with an exclamation, because this is like friendly talk. Okay, it's not just gonna, it's just gonna make debugging hard. Honestly, I don't actually use the debugging. I think I should like learn how to use the debugger. That's it. Lastly, I'm gonna go with something like neutral. So neutral. Now, for my neutral, I'm gonna check if my neutrals is key is something. I might actually copy this guy just to avoid typos. Let's paste it here. Let's paste it there. Okay, now, for my neutral, I'm firstly going to be checking if it said something like hello. I'm going to say something like hello. Or I might just say something like hello, traveler. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And I might actually copy this to like save time. Okay, bro, good game. Guys, I should actually learn how to use the debugger. What's the actual use of the debugger? Does it like actually fix your code or tell you like what's really wrong in your code type stuff? Because I have a debugging option here. It says debug, release, configure, manage. And a whole debug up here. That said, it starts without debugging. What does these things even do? Like, I haven't like learned these. I should actually learn these stuff. That said, I might go with something like bye. Let's say something like goodbye, traveler. And then lastly, in for story, I'm gonna say something like let's say something like it's alright, guys. I don't know what to say here. Okay, perfect. Goodbye, traveler. Could have a ... And that's pretty much it for my 3 states for my maps. So this is my storyline. I'm gonna go ahead and create another method now. I don't know why did I need. I think my storylines method is gonna be having like me talking as well, but I did create my text here. When do I want to actually display my text on my window? I want to display it when I hit something like enter here, so I might need my storylines as text inside of my text events method as well. Maybe somewhere here. Okay, you can add breakpoints, which literally stops the program live. It does. I know how to add breakpoints. I did like learn about that stuff. That said, how do you use that? It's pretty useful to catch bugs. Oh, okay, wait, in that case, does it mean something like this? If I like add a breakpoint in my line 12 and my debugger runs, if it runs smoothly, the code was good to line 12. If I go with something like line 22 and I run the code, it says everything was good. But if I like stop at line 28 and there was an error, it says that there's an error in line 28 type stuff. Would that make sense, guys? Okay, that said, now I might actually copy this part from here real quick. So let's copy that. And I want to paste it inside or like inside of my text event. are you rendering anything? Honestly, I'm going to be rendering my text and like a bunch of PNGs on my window as well. And then I have like automation, gravity, and that stuff as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Let's paste it on my text event. So chat on if my event type is something like return. So now I'm going to paste it for my key right here. Let's go ahead and paste this here. Okay, so if I hit enter, I'm going to be requiring these 3 parameters as well. So I might go ahead and copy these parameters. You could also make use of assets. I did actually create a bunch of assets in my whatchamacallit, in my solution explorer. If I like open file in explorer, inside where I have my DDLs, like my SDL.ddl files and all that, I did like create a bunch of assets and PNGs. Make a 2D game engine with in SDL with Glad. I see that actually sounds kind of cool. Hey, but don't let haters reach you. Keep up. Honestly, that does make sense. I appreciate you. Artyom, is that your name? Okay, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and require these 3 parameters under my text event. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to be removing these semicolons from here and replacing them with something like commas. Let's add a comma here as well. Okay, perfect. So let's go with something like tab and tab. Alright, perfect. So basically what this actually was, I required the parameters of my happy standard string, of my angry, and of my neutral. That said, now I can access these things. So if I hit return and one of my text inputs were these, then I'm going to respond in keen, if that makes sense. Okay, wait, this is for my, whatchamacallit, this is for my player. Do I need a separate one for my NPC? Yep, I don't know why people you're hating. Yeah, honestly guys, that does actually make sense. What's the game called? Honestly, I didn't like keep a name for the game. I think it's just called something like SDL3 window type stuff. Because guys, I didn't actually think of my game. Maybe it's called something like Calamity 1.4, because like the Python for 100 days series that I had, where my goal was to make a game using Python. I was done with that like I think about like 81ish days ago. And I did like keep that game's name Calamity. So I think this would also sound cool if it was called something like Calamity type stuff. That's it. Let me hydrate my lips real quick, guys. I feel it's kind of dehydrated. Now, while I'm thinking what to do here, maybe I might eat something because I'm kind of starving, guys. What's the genre of the game? Honestly, I'm not going like that in depth, but then let's say something like a basic RPG type game where my user can actually type with my NPC on my window, and then depending on histories, because here I'm going to be adding histories as well, so depending on what I say and like how the conversation has been going, it's going to be changing its state to angry, happy, or neutral, and then it just replies like according to that stuff. Okay, that's it. Now the thing that I gotta do here is when I hit enter, I want to respond depending on these chats as well. So this is what my player displays on the window. I want to add something that my NPC displays on the window as well. So before I push underscore back, I'm going to go ahead and do something. So I might go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator that says something like a mage, because my enemy is going to be my mage. Howdy Jaden, I appreciate you joining the stream. Is it a console app or a 2D based game? Honestly, I think this is like a console project. So like if I run the code, there's going to be a console and my SDL's window being displayed, if that makes any sense. Yeah, what's up? Howdy Leon, I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. This is going to be my mage, and then I go with something like another insertion operator of something like my... Okay, I got it. This depends on their mood. I got add if statements here. So if my mage's mood is angry, then I go ahead and... Okay, so if my mage's mood is angry, guys, I might actually... I think, I forgot who it was. Okay, I think that the Thongler, is that how I pronounce your name, was kind of correct. I think I shouldn't have like added my storylines here because it did make stuff kind of complex. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this from here. I'm going to add it here but later on. Okay, because I feel like adding the storyline right now made it kind of hard to actually think what I'm going to do. So I might add this in a bit. For the time being, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I might not require these parameters here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these parameters as well. I was confused too. This is 2D or like console based. Honestly, I think it is like both, because like I do have like a console where like I don't think the console is really that important. That is just for like me seeing stuff and like me seeing my histories and all that. But the real stuff is the window that I actually display. Okay, that's it. Now let's scroll all the way down. I think I'm going to be working on my storyline in a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and exit outside of my chat's class and let's create another class. This time my second class is going to be a hero class. So I'm going to be calling this something like hero with a pair of curly braces. Now my hero class is going to be consisting of a few parameters. Okay, here's the thing. Does my hero class inherit from my chat class? I might look into that in a bit. That said, my hero class is going to be having a few private data members, so I might go with something like private. Now, what all parameters would my hero class need, or what all private data members would it need? It might need something like a texture, so I'm going to go with something like SDL_texture. Okay, which is going to be equal to something like my hero texture. So there we go. Actually, not equal to. My SDL_texture structure is going to be represented by hero textures as local variable. Once I'm done with that, let's see, I might go ahead and publicize everything. And then I want to create a rectangle for my hero as well, because recs are basically where our PNGs actually live in. So I'm going to use the SDL_f recs structure, which is going to be represented by hero rex's local variable, which is going to be not equal to anything for the time being. So I'm going to end that with a semicolon. And then once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and let's say something like, would I need any other parameters here? Since I can't think of any other parameters, I might add a comment that says something like constructors. Are you assigning those values again and again? You should put that outside as a global variable or just take a reference in the function parameters, the map I mean. That does actually make sense, but then I needed a separate texture and a separate rec for both my hero and my mage class. Although it would make sense if I create like a parent class. I might actually try creating a parent class here. Okay, let's go ahead and create a class called something like entity. Okay, so my entity class is gonna be, let's say something like having a few protected data members. So there we go. Now my entity class is firstly gonna have something like a SDL_textures structure, which is gonna be called something like textures. So texture, there we go. Okay, bye, hello, etc. I see. Hello, brother, how are you? How are you doing? Bishwar, is that pronounced your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, damn, where do you live, bro? Honestly, guys, I used to like say you guys where I'm actually from, but I just started avoid saying that for like safety reasons. That's it. Hello, bro, how are you? I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, Bishwar? Okay, that's it. Let me go ahead and end this with a semicolon. The second protected data member that I might need is going to be something like, I don't know, maybe a rec. So I'm going to use the SDL_f recs structure, which is going to be represented by a rex's local variable, ending with a semicolon. And then, is there any other parameters? I don't think that I'm going to be needing like, whatchamacallit, structure, actually not structures, like surfaces here, because I'm only going to be creating a surface for my chats class. So for the time being, I think these are the only two data members that I might need here. Okay, so my hero class is going to inherit all the public content from my entity class. So I'm going to go with something like entity. There we go. Okay, perfect. Are you in college, bro? Honestly, I am like a freshman in college. That said, now, I'm not going to be requiring the private data member here, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm not going to be requiring the SDL_f recs structure here as well. But I will be requiring a constructor, so I'm going to go ahead and publicize everything. And then add a comment that says something like constructor. Now, for my constructor, did I spell it correct? There we go. Now, for my constructor, firstly, I want to create a constructor for my heroes class. And my heroes constructor is going to be requiring, let's say, something like two parameters. The first parameter is going to be a SDL_f. Actually, SDL_renders parameter, which is going to be represented by a pointer of my renders local variable. That is the variable that I'm going to be creating inside of my main loop. The second parameter might be something like a floating point of scale, and that's actually pretty much it. Scale is basically the size. What size do I want my hero to be? Because I don't want him to like be too big or not too small as well. That's it. Now, since I am inheriting from my entity class, I do want to add a constructor from the class that I'm inheriting from. So entity is a constructor. Although my entity class does not have a constructor, so I might just completely skip that part and go with the prof curly braces. Now, inside my heroes class or my heroes constructor, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I want to go ahead and set a value for my textures as local variable here. So I might go with something like my texture. So I'm going to say something like my texture is going to be equal to, let's use the image underscore the load textures as function. Okay, with a prof parentheses. Now, the reason I can actually load it is because I gotta go ahead and include my SDL's image section. So I might go ahead and include a prof ankle braces. Let's say I want to include SDL3 underscore image slash SDL underscore image dot h, which is basically SDL3's image section and all the SDL's image header files. Now I'm going to scroll all the way here and all of a sudden I can actually use this function. Now my image underscore load textures function requires two parameters. The first parameter is going to be of my render, which is one of the variables that I take as a parameter. The second parameter is going to be a file path for my render, which in this case is going to be, I don't know, maybe something like my npc slash, let's go with something like hero.png. Okay, and then I end my entire function with a semicolon. My texture equals to image.load texture. Why do I see a red underline here? Did I like mess something up here? Let's see. Okay, what's wrong here? So no operator equal to matches these operands. Operand types are SDL underscore texture, which equals to texture. I mean, I am using SDL underscore texture, but does it require, okay, it requires a pointer towards my texture, so I might add that to be a pointer, and that fixes it, guys. I could like tell what the error was here because I got this error before as well, so I know how to fix it. That's, I mean, it's something. Okay, now once I'm done creating my, actually, once I'm done loading my texture, I'm gonna hit Ctrl-Alt-L to get my solution explorer here, just to fact check if my file path was correct, guys, because I did not remember my file path. Now, let's see. So it is npc. My file path was wrong. So npc slash hero.png. So this isn't going to be an uppercase. I am in college biz war. Okay, no need spam, guys. There we go. Now, once I'm done with this, let's see. What else would I need? After I'm done with my texture, I want to maybe go ahead and load my image. I think Pixel, I appreciate you joining the stream. Let's see. Once I'm done with creating my texture, is there something else that I might need? I want to go ahead and display my texture on my window. To do that, I could go ahead and create a method called display texture on window. But before that, I want to get my textures as width and height. So I'm going to create a texture width and textures as height variable ending with a semicolon. What these variables actually do is it's going to give me my textures as actual width. So later on, when I actually do want to display them on the window, I don't want to use like, magic numbers to like that's going to like stretch them up type stuff. So I'm going to be using the SDL underscore get texture size function. This function actually gets my texture size, but it does require three parameters. The first parameter is going to be my texture. Excuse me, guys. The second parameter is going to be the memory address of my textures width, and the memory address of my textures height ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and set my, let's go ahead and create or set my rect. So I'm going to set my rect dot x-axis to be equal to something like 100 ending with a semicolon. Rect dot, maybe I might not need x-axis and y-axis because I am later on going to be setting these parameters to be right above my player's head. Maybe not, maybe not. What are you doing? Honestly, I'm trying to like work on the same exact code that I like finished like last stream where my NPC can talk together and all that. But this time for my storylines, I want to go ahead and make my NPC reply depending on his mood. So we see our histories and like check how our conversation was actually going in our histories. Depending on that, my NPC decides whether or not he wants to be happy, he wants to be neutral, or he wants to be angry type stuff. That said, now I go all the way down here. I'm going to go ahead and set something like rect.x-axis is going to be equal to 100. Rect.y-axis is going to be equal to 100 as well. So my player is somewhere at the top left corner of my screen, ending with a semicolon. Hello, do you know HTML? Honestly, I haven't learned HTML. I just know like Python and now C++ as well. That said, I'm going to go with something like rect.width, which equals to my textures is width multiplied by my scale ending with a semicolon. And lastly, rect.height is going to be equal to my textures is height multiplied by my scale ending with a semicolon. The reason I do go with like multiplied by my scale is because if I set my scale to be 0.1, my texture size is going to be 10% of its original size, which is really big type stuff. That said, I want to eat something, guys. I'm kind of starving here. Okay, let me eat some more oats. I think Leon, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. Now, once I'm done with all this, I'm gonna scroll down. And guys, I forgot to like tell this to you guys. Tomorrow, I will be streaming like really soon. Maybe like my 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, because in my usual streaming time, like my 12 p.m. or like 1 or 2 p.m., I do like have to be somewhere type stuff. That's it. Let me check something like 7. Okay, let's go with something like 7 a.m. Okay, let's check my time with CST. So let's go here. Okay, so what's in Central Time? So Central Time 9 a.m. So I'm gonna be streaming at like Central Time 9 a.m. type stuff. That's it. Now once I'm done adding my rect as well, I'm gonna go ahead and exit outside of my constructor. And let's create a method. So I'm gonna add a, maybe I wanna add a comment. I'm just gonna go ahead and create a method called something like draw hero. So I'm gonna go with something like a draw hero. And honestly, do I like really want to like create a method for every single class? Show us the chatbot so far. Honestly, I didn't even add my main loop so far. So like I did like whatchamacallit, add my class for my chat, but if I like run the code, nothing is going to be showing because I did not add my main loop. So there's not a game actually running right now. Okay, you should watch videos of other people coding. ChatGPT has taught you some bad practices. Honestly, I could do that. Like I do like see people like programming, but like I don't like see them in like programming like SDL3, like using C++, because I did like check a lot of tutorials for it before I did actually start my C++. I found one guy who teaches, but then it was kind of complex, guys. Like when he got an error, he went to like the docs and he was like searching something there. I was like, that is kind of tough, but I might actually look into that stuff. That's it. Now my draw heroes method does require a parameter of my renderer, so I'm gonna go with something like SDL_render with an asterisk to a renderers is local variable. Now I go with the above curly braces. Now inside of my draw method, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna use the SDL_render textures function. This function tells my renderer to render a texture on the display, or like display a texture, or just like render a texture in general. Guys, I couldn't wear a better way to just like phrase that. Read the docs is exactly what you need, guys. I did try reading the docs. Like when I first started working with like my true texture font, ChatGPT actually couldn't help me with that stuff, so I did like go over the docs and I like went over it. It was kind of complex, but luckily I found a website, or not a website, a reference code for like SDL3 C++ that actually showed me the real function that I gotta currently use. So I use ChatGPT as much as like I can. Once I can't use ChatGPT anymore, I do go online and like look over different website type stuff. That said, I require renders as parameter here, and then I require a textures as parameter. Okay, my third parameter is going to be a source rect. Since I don't have a source rect, I'm going to be setting that to be null PER. Lastly, my fourth parameter is going to be a DST rect, which is a direction rect, which in this case is going to be my rect variable, ending my function with a semicolon. Not SDL, just C++ in general, good practice for object-oriented programming, for example. That does make sense. I might actually look into that after my stream today. That's it, guys. Let me eat something. Gotta starving. Okay, now once I'm done with my draw heroes method, let's see what else do I need. Maybe this was like pretty much it for my heroes class. I don't want to like add any abilities or something for my hero right now. I just want to like regularly walk type stuff. Although, do I want to add gravity? I could go ahead and add my gravity inside my main function. Although, do I want to really do that? Maybe I could go ahead and add a comment that says something like apply gravity in my heroes class, or I could go ahead and create another general class. So let's go ahead and create maybe something like a physics bodies class that inherits from my entities class, and my heroes class inherits from my entity class and my physics bodies class. So it's something like a diamond problem type stuff, like one class inherits from two class. Okay guys, I cannot phrase. Coding with snacks is a dream, guys. That does actually make sense. That said, let me go ahead and create another class called something like physics body. And the reason I am creating like so many classes right now is because I don't want to like flood my function, my main function, or like my, yeah, I don't want to like flood my main function with like a lot of content in it like I did like last stream. My main function was like kind of filled. That's it. The docs and such is better than ChatGPT. It feels simple because it's fast and gives you really shallow info, while other sources feel complex because you learn more and slower. I mean, that does make sense. I eventually do go over docs where like ChatGPT can actually help me much type stuff, but I feel like I should actually whatchamacallit, work more with docs type stuff. Maybe I am going to be learning on how to read them. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like entity. There we go. Okay, so now my physics bodies class inherits all the public content from my entities class. Then I go with the pair of curly braces. Now, inside of my physics bodies class, what will I need? I might need a few local variables such as let's say x-axis, y-axis. Okay, so I might create something like a floating point gravity variable. Okay, my entity is going to be affected by my gravity, which is going to be equal to something like 0.5 floating points ending with a semicolon. Kelsmini or ChatGPT seemed bad at teaching basics. He's using a separate class for every single entity. Is that good? Honestly, I'm actually not using a separate class for like every single entity. The reason I am like using whatchamacallit, a entity class, is because I don't want to like add a texture, a rect for like all my classes type stuff, and eventually I might actually add my draw method inside of my entity class as well, because I don't want to add like a lot of methods and like a lot of data members inside of every single class if I can just add it inside of one class. That said, I'm going to be requiring a floating point for gravity, and then I might need a floating point for x-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be equal to 5 pixels per frame ending with a semicolon, and then a floating point for something like y-axis underscore velocity. Okay, maybe I might not add y-axis velocity because y-axis velocity is going to be depending on like my classes. My hero classes y-axis velocity will be 0. I mean, my NPC classes y-axis velocity will be 0 as well, so I might as well add it. Okay, so I'll go with something like y-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be something like 0.0f ending with a semicolon. Having lots of things in one class is not good also. That does make sense. That's the reason I am like creating an entity class for holding all my basic variables here, and then whatchamacallit, a physics bodies class to have my gravity methods and all that stuff, like checking if I'm on ground or like, okay, if that does make sense, guys. I cannot phrase properly because I am kind of starving. I gotta eat something. Okay, that's it. Now my physics bodies class is going to be having no protected data members, but I will be publicizing everything, so I'm going to go with something like public. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like constructor. My physics bodies class will be requiring a constructor of, let's say, something like my physics body. I might change this to like capital P. There we go, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy that. Let's paste it here. Okay, so I'm going to go with something like physics body. My constructor is going to be requiring, let's say, maybe 4 parameters. I might go with something like a floating point of x-axis, and then a floating point for y-axis, a floating point for width, and a floating point for height. Okay, these are the 4 parameters that I would need, and then I'm going to go with a pair of curly braces. Now, the x-axis and y-axis that I added here, I can go ahead and add it in my constructor once I inherit from my physics bodies class. That's not what I meant. He's treating his classes like variable. Class for mage, class for devil, like that. Honestly, I just like have a hero. Oh, that does make sense. I mean, I think that is going to be like a good practice in the future because for the time being, all my classes does not have any special attributes to them. But then later on, when I actually do want to add like attack system, my mage class is going to be having different attacks compared to my hero class, and like, whatchamacallit, my devil class might be having different attributes than both my mage and my hero class type stuff. For example, like healer class, attacker class, or ranger class type stuff. Okay, why do you have headset on? Honestly, guys, firstly, I used to just have it on so I can like listen to music and see if it's like too loud and everything. Okay, it doesn't matter now, but it will when there is more than one enemy. It will when there is more than one enemy. More than one enemy. Do you guys mean like if I have multiple enemies, would it like change the thing then also? Because like, I have a hero class here, so this is going to be a class of its own. My hero is an entity. Later on, when I do create my enemy classes, each enemy or each NPC is going to be, whatchamacallit, consisting of like different attributes. Unless there are like two enemies that have the same attributes, I'm going to use the exact same class type stuff. Okay, that said, were you what are you keep on doing all the time? Honestly, today I am like working on whatchamacallit, AI text logic and SDL3 using C++. Today I want my NPC to reply depending on the current mood types that I set in like dictionary/maps here. So if he's angry, he responds with these values. If he's happy, he responds with these values. If he's neutral, he responds with these values. Okay, that's it. Let's actually continue. Now, for my physics bodies class, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna go ahead and set something like rect.x-axis equals to my x-axis parameter ending with a semicolon. Rect.y-axis equals to my y-axis parameter. Okay, and then I go ahead and end that with a semicolon. And now, let's see, is there anything else that I would need in my physics bodies class? Usually, I do add my floating point width and height and like getting my texture inside of my physics body. Do I want to really do that here? I might need a scale method here as well if I do that. My scale could be here as well. So let's see. Scale for my class. I could go ahead and require that there. My scale is going to be scale. Okay, only 2 people are watching, so you can be normal. Stop overreacting, guys. This is my regular. That's it. Let's go ahead and actually copy this part. I want to add like less content inside of my classes, so I'm going to go ahead and paste this here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and require a scales parameter here as well, so I'm going to go with something like a floating point scale. There we go. And now I get my textures as width and height. Let's go ahead and delete this part. I'm going to change this to be something like my x-axis. That is going to be my y-axis. My width and height is going to be depending on my textures as width and height. And that's actually perfect, guys. Okay. That's honestly almost everything that I might need in my constructor. Now, let me go ahead and exit outside of my constructor. Just thinking, am I missing something here? I don't think I am missing anything. So I'm going to go ahead and create methods now. For my methods, I'm going to create a void method called something like apply gravity. So there we go. Okay, now for my apply gravities method, will I require any parameters here? Let's say I might require 2 parameters here. The first parameter, maybe just 1 parameter honestly, because I already have a gravities as a local variable here. So I might go with something like a floating point of my floors is y-axis for my gravity. So there we go. Okay, now I go with the pair of curly braces, and inside of my apply gravities method, I'm going to go ahead and let's say do something. Firstly, I want to go ahead and increase my y-axis underscore velocity by my gravity. Okay, so I increase my speed by my acceleration. Then I increase my position, rect.y-axis is going to increase by my y-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon. This simulates gravity speed increases by acceleration, then my position increases by my speed. Can you make a crypto from scratch in C++? Honestly, that sounds kind of fun. I might actually try that, but I haven't like done it before, so it might be a bit hard to start with. Okay, are you straight or gay? Honestly, I'm straight. I asked this because your hand movements and your accent is not normal. Guys, not normal is kind of crazy. I move my hands because like I feel it's a good practice to like move your hands when talking type stuff. And guys, I don't know much about my accent. I asked myself as well. That's the next step. I'm gonna go ahead and add a if statement that actually it's gonna check if my player is currently landing on my floor, because I don't want my player to fall infinitely. I want it to like land at some point. So I'm gonna go with something like if my rect.y-axis, if my heroes is y-axis plus my rect.height plus my heroes' height is, let's say something like greater than is greater than or equal to my floors' y-axis, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I want to reset my rect.y-axis to be equal to, let's say something like my floors' y-axis minus my rect.height. This basically means my player is going to be standing above my floor. Okay, people, where as hell in chat you're good for real. Honestly, I appreciate you, internet. That actually means the world to me, guys. I still want to make a game that actually sounds kind of cool. Good luck with that, internet. Okay, next time I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And then I'm just going to be setting my y-axis underscore velocity to be equal to 0, because like whatchamacallit, why not? Because I don't want extra memory to be taken, or like my program to run more than it has to. If my y-axis velocity is 0, my player won't be pulled down anymore unless he does not jump up again. Okay, that's actually pretty much it for my apply gravity. Now, once I'm done with my apply gravity method, I'm gonna go ahead and create another method called something like boolean. It's gonna be a boolean variable of is on ground that checks if I'm currently on ground. But maybe I'm not gonna be adding that here, because like I don't think I should actually add that here. Hi doing, Son, I appreciate you joining the stream. That said, I'm gonna go ahead and create a jump method. This method is gonna help my player jump, because I do want to add a jump logic as well, where player is going to be jumping from my window. So my jump method is going to be requiring a floating point parameter of power, and then I go with a pair of curly braces. Now I'm going to be setting my y-axis underscore velocity to be equal to my negative jump power, ending with a semicolon. What this means is if I hit jump, my player's position or my player is going to go upwards. That simulates like a jump type stuff. And that's pretty much it for my physics bodies as class. Now let's go ahead and inherit all the public content from my physics bodies as classes. Well, can I just paste it here? Never mind, guys. Let's go with Control Shift Z. I'm gonna go with something like physics a body. There we go. Now I'm gonna be adding a constructor for my physics bodies as class, because I do inherit from them. So I'm gonna go with something like a colon here, and then add a constructor for my physics body. Okay, and then I go with a pair of parentheses. Now my physics bodies constructor does require, let's say, a few parameters. It requires x-axis, which in this case is going to be set to 100, y-axis, which is going to be set to 100. My width is going to be set to something like a 0, and height is going to be set to 0, because like my width and height is my textures is width and height, so I might not even need my width and height variables here. There we go, guys. I might just need 3 parameters here and not my width and height, so I'm going to delete the 0 and 0. Instead, I want to set something like my scale. My scale is going to be equal to my scale parameter. And that should like conclude everything here. Why do I see red underlines up here? Let me think. Okay, so I added a pair of curly braces. Let's go with a bunch of Control C's. I added space. Okay, now the reason I see a red underline here could be because hero texture is ambiguous. Should I go with something like my entity class? Why do I see red underlines? I could use it before. I used it like perfectly before, guys. Well, maybe because I probably gotta add a constructor for my entity class as well. Okay, that does not require any parameters. I'm just gonna go with a comma. Maybe I do gotta add a pair of parentheses here. Okay, I added an entity class, but my entity class does not require any parameters, so practically speaking, I wouldn't need a constructor for it. Although, why is my texture having a red underline here now? I have my texture here, I have rect here, my texture and rect, I can use it. Hero texture is ambiguous. Guys, what does ambiguous mean? Let me actually check. Okay, what does ambiguous mean, question mark? Let's see. Okay, adjective of language open to more than one interpretations having, hold up guys, let me actually increase, I can't read a thing. There we go. Okay, let's scroll this here. Having more than one interpretation, having a double. Okay, synonyms could be arguable. I did not understand anything think about that. Let me just decrease this from here. There we go. Okay, let's think. Why can't I use my texture anymore if I inherit from my physics bodies as class? Okay, my physics bodies as class inherits from my entities as class. That does not require entities as parameter. I do require my entities as gravity, x-axis, y-axis. Why can't my hero class inherit? Let me think, guys. Is there something that I'm missing here? Texture is spelled correct, rect is spelled correct. It's not my spelling. Something is... It should work. Let's see. So my texture is equal to my image underscore load texture. What if I add a constructor for my entity class here? Wait, I have protected data members, so I should be having access to those parameters here, right? Okay, maybe. Why can't I actually add parameters? Let me hit Control S to save the code and run the command. I want to see where I get a error. Okay, let's see. Let me go ahead and cancel this part. It says ambiguous axis of texture, ambiguous axis of texture, ambiguous axis of rect. Hero texture is ambiguous. My hero's is texture. What does ambiguous even mean, guys? Hold on, maybe what if I go with something like my entity class? Okay, with 2 colons of texture. That works. Do I have to really do it like this though? Does this make sense? Google the error. Okay, guys, does this make sense? Ambiguous texture. And then let's go with something like entity rect. Okay, seriously? Guys, does this actually make sense if I go like this? Okay, let's go with something like an ampersand. Okay, that didn't work. Let's go with something like I mean, I get the exact value from my class. This wouldn't make sense, guys. Hold on, let's go with a bunch of control-Cs. I might actually look it up, guys. Okay, let's go ahead and end that. Go with Control-Shift-Z here. Now, let's go with something like a Control-C. Copy that. Let's go with some C/ChatGPT here. Let's go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift-Enter, and let's see something like, say, this is my code. So far, I haven't completed it, but I get a red underline in my texture and rexes, or let's say something like data members. It says ambiguous texture question mark. Okay, let's see. Ampersand before entity. I actually did that though, it didn't work. Like I went with something like, let's go with something like ampersand entity. Okay, with 2 colons. It shows a red underline here because that could be most likely because argument type SDL underscore frect entity is incompatible with parameter type constant SDL underscore frect. So what if I convert my srect to be something like a pointer? Okay, if I go with something like pointer, it still doesn't work, honestly. I'm just going to be deleting that part real quick, removing my entity from here. Now let's check. Okay, guys, there are 2 chats. Let's pick the longest one. Okay, I'll pick the shortest one, honestly. Okay, let's see. Alright, people, you just performed a multi-class disaster. Your code isn't broken, it's angry with you, and honestly, I don't blame it. Let me explain in a way even your stream viewers will feel the impact. Why you got ambiguous texture / rect error? You wrote class hero that inherits all the public content from my entity class and my physics bodies class. That means hero inherits from entity and also inherits from physics body, but physics body already inherits from entity. That does make sense, guys. 2 copies of texture, rect, gravity, x-axis, y-axis. So when you write texture equals to tell, the compiler will scream. Which one, people? You spawn 2 of them. That's what ambiguous axis means. I see what ambiguous means as well now. You basically duplicated the entire parent class and confused the living daylights out of the compiler. This is the error C++ equivalent of putting 2 steering wheels on your car and asking the engine which one to follow. I see, so I wouldn't have to inherit from my entity class since my physics body class does inherit from my entity class. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. There we go. Okay, perfect. Now I add 1 constructor and that fixes everything. Doing same thing, that does make sense, guys. I should have actually known this. When I went over my C++ for like... Actually, my regular C++ before my SDL3 series, I didn't learn about this stuff. I forgot it because that was probably like... I think like a month or 2 ago. Let's let me eat something. Okay, and guys, that's pretty much it. It saved me so much time here right now. I just have a draw method from my hero that I could honestly okay, let me remove the hero from here. I'm gonna be pasting my heroes class up to my physics bodies as construct class as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste it because like why not? I require rect parameter, texture, null PDR, and rect. Guys, this made my class now so short. This is actually wonderful. Okay, now once I'm done creating a heroes class, I'm gonna go ahead and copy my class from here. And let's go ahead and paste it here. Here's the thing, guys. I could have used one class for doing all of this, but it's just the file path that's different for them. Is there a way to like require my file path on my parameter as well, or create another class, or maybe add my file paths to my entity class right here? Maybe I could actually do that, couldn't I? Would I require a parameter of file paths? I think it would be worth it than like adding two separate classes that has like almost everything the same. I require render, scale, x-axis, y-axis. Okay, I think I need separate classes because like I have my x-axis velocity and y-axis, but actually my x-axis and y-axis position as well. I might change this to be a mage class. Guys, I was just asking like way too much of this because I feel like I did already like shorten the code like so much. Okay, we're just at like 144 lines. Okay, that's it. Now I'm gonna change my position here. My x-axis is not gonna be 100. Instead, it's gonna be something like 600. Okay, and then my y-axis underscore velocities, it could be 100 because I do have gravity. I want my mage to be affected by my gravity. Maybe mages are not affected with gravity because I don't think mages are affected with gravity type stuff. Okay, maybe I could like add a function that like disables gravity for my mage when he does want to actually fly up type stuff. So let's see, what is something that I might need here now? I have my SDL underscore rect floating point scale. I'm going to be changing my file path from hero PNG to be something like mage PNG, and this is going to be 700 for my y-axis. And guys, that's pretty much it for my two mage classes. This is actually really easy to do. Now, I'm going to go all the way down here, add a comment, and create a main function. This is going to be where my main game loop is going to be going. And guys, I just realized something before I do actually create my main function. I want to create another function that lowercases everything that I type, because my input text, for all we know, my user could type something like in like uppercase, lowercase, for example, like hello. For all you know, my user could type hello, something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a void function called something like, okay, is it gonna be a void function or void function or a integer function? Let's see. So I go ahead and transform, I do that. I have returns as well. Maybe I go with something like a integer of two lower function. This lowercase is everything that I type with a pair of parentheses. Now my to lower function does require a parameter of a constant standard string of something like the memory address of my text. This is basically going to be my input text. Your mage and hero could be the same class. The constructor can file path as an argument. That does make sense. I didn't like think of that when I was actually doing this part, but I like left my hero and my mage class as separate stuff because later on I do want to add separate attributes to my hero and like separate attributes for my mage as well, so that would kind of complicate stuff. For the time being, I do want to leave them as separate classes, so I just want to display them on the screen without having any automate methods and all that stuff. Speaking of automate methods, guys, my hero class might need methods that actually move them using key controls. My mage class might need methods that automate my mage. Okay, you can take that. Does actually make sense though. If both my classes would require the same attributes, then I might actually do that stuff. That's enough for my two lowers class. I'm going to go ahead and add a pair of curly braces. Now, I'm going to do something inside of my class here. Let's see, what would I need? Let's see. To lower class, I require a constructor of a standard string text. Now, I'm going to go ahead and include the algorithms library as well, because you do need that to like lowercase whatever you write. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with something like hashtag include a pair of ankle braces. There we go. Let's say I want to include algorithm. Now I'm gonna use the standard transforms function with a pair of parentheses. I think it's FORM. There we go. Now my standard transforms is function is going to be requiring three three iterables. Is it called like three iterables, or I think it's like three? Okay, I think it's three iterables and one function. My iterables is going to be something like my text dot begin, where my text begins. Okay, and then I'm going to go with something like my text dot end, where my text ends. And lastly, I'm going to go with something like text dot begin, where is my text going to be located inside of my console. And then once I'm done with those, I'm going to add another comma. I added my three iterables. I need a function as well. I might use a lambda function because that is like a one-line function, kind of small. So for adding a lambda function, I could go with something like let's go with a pair of parentheses, and then I'm going to type something like unsigned, unsigned. Okay, unsigned character of C. If my unsigned character is C, then I'm going to do something. Did I mess something up in my lambda function? Let me think real quick, guys. I'm pretty sure this part should be correct. If my unsigned character is C, then I do something. Maybe this does not go in a pair of parentheses. Okay, never mind. It does go in a pair of parentheses, guys. I forgot how to write a lambda function. Unsigned character of C. Okay, if that is the case, then I'm going to add a pair of curly braces and return use the to lower function. I want to lowercase my c. Okay, let's see what error I get. Expected a pair of parentheses. It expects to close my parentheses. That wouldn't make sense. Once I'm done with this, I end my whatchamacallit. Let's go with Control C. I end my entire function with a semicolon. Hold up, guys. I think something is kind of messed up here. When I really go ahead and add my lambda, what is something that I'm missing here? Let me think, guys. It's been a while since I've used the lambda function. Okay, unsigned character of C. Show potential fixes. That doesn't even work apparently when I say show potential fixes. Is it because I like disable my interlessons? Unsigned character of C. Okay, I return. Just use for loop. That's easier. Honestly, yeah, it is easier, but I want to like save lines as well and like learn lambda type as well, because I feel like for loop is like really easy to do this. A pair of square brackets. Hold on, guys. That actually might be the reason. Let's go with something. Oh, hold up, guys. I remember. There we go. I need a pair of square brackets before my function here. There we go. Perfect. That fixes everything, guys. I feel like whatchamacallit. I appreciate you, Suryadev. Is that how I pronounce your name? Guys, that was actually genius. How did I not think of that? Let's go ahead and end my entire function with a semicolon here. Right here. Okay, and then I end my function with a semicolon. Okay, guys, I remember. I was like, I'm pretty sure the syntax is correct. I forgot a pair of square brackets before this. That's actually pretty much it for my to lower function here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and scroll all the way down here. I want to go ahead and convert my input text to be a lowercase input text. So, for the time being, this is empty. So, when I go ahead and add something here, I'm going to go with something like to lower. Let's go with something like my to lower function with a pair of parentheses. Okay, so I lowercase my input text. I can't do that here because there is no input text to lowercase here. Maybe when I go ahead and add it to my histories, I want to lowercase it. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like to lower. Maybe before adding it here, I might go ahead and do something like to lower with a pair of parentheses of my input text. Why are you just using ChatGPT? Guys, I'm actually like typing this on my own, but I do use ChatGPT for like learning whatchamacallit, the basics type stuff. Readability is much more important than saving lines. That does make sense. Okay, honestly, isn't this like input text? There we go. Okay, perfect. And honestly, I'm not like using my the lambda function up there to like just save time. I feel like I like using like more fancier ways to write stuff because like it does look kind of cool. Okay, why aren't you just using ChatGPT? Honestly, because I am like learning this stuff, so I like just use ChatGPT to get the code that it is sometimes kind of wrong. That would like kind of ruin the point of learning this stuff. That said, I lowercase my input text here. Now all my input text is lowercase. Maybe I add that after this. Hold up guys, let's go ahead and copy this. I might paste it here once I have a value assigned to my input text variable here. And that's actually perfect. Let's see. My input text by the end of this variable should be lowercase as well, whatever is inside of my histories. Okay, that's actually perfect. I use my transform function, I add my chat function, I added my storyline. Now, let me go ahead and create another void method. This void method is going to be for me displaying my text on my window. So I might go ahead and create a method called something like display text.window. So I'm going to go with something like display text. Alright guys, there we go. Let's go with something like display text on a window with a pair of parentheses. Now my display text on window function is going to be requiring a parameter of, let's say, something like my SDL underscore renders a structure, which is going to be represented by renders a local variable. Then I go with the pair of curly braces. And guys, I actually made a lot of oaths today, so I gotta like kind of eat this real quick. Okay, perfect. I hope it's not like stuck all over my mouth. That's it. I have a void display text. A void display text on Windows is function that does require parameter of my SDL underscore render. Now, the very basics of first when I try to display something on my window, when I try to display text on my window, what is the first thing that I might need? Let me think really quick, guys. So maybe I could go ahead and I might require a color, a surface, a rect. I require a color. I require a surface. So I require a surface. Okay, so I definitely need a color. I definitely need a surface. I'll create my DST rect later. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the SDL underscore, let's say, colors a structure, which is gonna be represented by a colors or local variable that is going to be equal to something like 000255, which is technically an RGBA value, which means red, blue, green, and alpha. Alpha is basically opacity, which means how transparent or how not transparent I want my color to be. In this case, I want my text's color to be black and not transparent at all. So once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and create a surface as well, because my text is basically just like a regular text that my user types. To display it on my window, I gotta use the SDL underscore surface structure. Surface is where my text is going to be displayed on. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like an asterisk of a text surface's local variable. Okay, I think I spelled surface correct, which is going to be equal to the TDF underscore render text blended function. Render text underscore blended function. This function renders my text and blends it on my surface, if that makes any sense. But why can't I use it here? That is because I did not like include my SDL's TDF library, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with something like hashtag include a pair of ankle braces. I'm gonna include SDL3.tdf. TDF basically means true texture font, so I'm gonna include SDL's true texture font slash SDL, let's say something like underscore TDF.h, which is SDL's true texture fonts' header files as well. Clearly, I messed something up here. This is going to be underscore instead of dot. Okay, perfect. Now I scroll all the way down here, and I can all of a sudden use my TDF underscore render text blended function. Okay, thinking about which, I might require another parameter for my display text on Windows' function. I might require a font as well, so I'm going to go ahead and use the TDF underscore fonts structure, which is going to be represented by a fonts local variable or a pointer towards a fonts local variable. Those are the two parameters. Now my TDF underscore render text blended does require 4 parameters. The first parameter is going to be my font, which in this case is going to be my fonts parameter. The second parameter is going to be my, let's say, my text, which is going to be my text input. But here's the thing, it requires a constant character of text. My text input is constantly changing, so it's not a constant character. Constant is something that does not change. So I'm gonna go with something like my text input. And guys, if I did actually what constant here really means is something like hello, one text displayed on my window and nothing else. But in this case, I'm gonna go with something like my input text. This is not constant. Input text. Okay, so I am going to be using the .cstrings function. This function converts my regular text input to be a constant C string. Then I'm going to go with a comma. My third parameter is going to be a length. Since I don't have a length, I'm going to set this to be 0. My fourth parameter is going to be color, which is going to be my colors' local variable here. Then I add my surface with a semicolon. Actually, then I add my function with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done creating a surface, I'm gonna go ahead and check if my surface was created properly. If it was, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Excuse me guys, so I'm gonna go with something like if pair of parentheses. Let's say something like if text surface. If my text surface was created properly, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something, guys. I just like drooled all over my keyboard real quick. Okay, let me maybe eat something. I wish like I had a napkin or something. I feel like my lips is way too messy right now. There we go. Now, if my, if my text was created properly, then I'm going to do something. And guys, this wasn't going to be a pair of, what up guys, let's go with a bunch of control C's. This is going to be a pair of curly braces. There we go. Now, if my text surface was created properly, I want to go ahead and create a texture. So I'm going to go ahead and create the SDL underscore texture as a structure. There we go, which is going to be represented by something like a text textures as local variable. Then I go ahead and set my text textures as local variable to be equal to the SDL underscore create texture from surfaces function. So I'm going to be creating a texture from my surface. Then I go with a pair of parentheses. Now my create texture from surface requires two parameters. The first parameter is going to be my render. The second parameter is going to be my surface, which in this case is going to be my text surface. Okay, perfect. Then I go ahead and my function with a semicolon. Alright, once I'm done creating my surface, I'm going to go ahead and get my surface or get my textures as width and height because I don't want like magic numbers for my texture type stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and go with something like a floating point of textures as width and create a floating point of textures as height variable ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and use the SDL underscore the get texture size. This function gets my textures size, which in this case is my text's size. Okay, the reason I am like using this function is because I don't want to like use random numbers for when I create my rect, because that's gonna like stretch it like horizontally or vertically in general my text up. Okay, now my get texture size function requires three parameters. The first parameter is going to be my text's texture or my texture in general. There we go. The second parameter is going to be the memory address of my textures is width. And the third parameter is going to be the memory address of my textures is height ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and draw my texture on my screen. To do that, I could go ahead and use the SDL underscore the render texture function. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to be rendering a texture on my window. Although this function requires a bunch of parameters. Speaking of which, guys, I do got to create a SDL underscore f rect structure as well, because I do got to create a rect. Rect is basically where my texture is going to be. Any kind of PNG or image that we load in our display in general is going to be inside of a box, which is called our rect. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore f rect structure, which is going to be called something like DST rect. That stands for like my direction rect. Might go with something like texture rect. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and edit with a semicolon. Now I'm going to go with something like my texture rect dot x-axis is going to be equal to something like, I might not need x-axis and y-axis here because I want my texture to be above my hero's PNG. So I'm just going to go with width and height. Okay, might have to get these two variables above my rect in that case. Maybe I just add it here. Let's go ahead and delete that extra line from there. Okay, now the thing is, do I want to create my rect inside or outside? Maybe, I mean, it's the exact same thing, honestly, because... okay, I think I'll create it inside, because, like, it's almost the same thing. Then I'm gonna go with something like my texture rect dot width is going to be my textures width multiplied by my scale ending with a semicolon, which I will be requiring a parameter here of a floating point scale as well. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and set my textures rect dot height is going to be my textures height multiplied by my scale ending with a semicolon. Alright, perfect. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and display or slash draw my texture on my window. This function requires a bunch of parameters. The first parameter is going to be my renderer. Let's say the second parameter is going to be my texture, which in this case is going to be my text texture. Okay, the third parameter is going to be a source rect. Since I don't have a source rect, I'm going to set it to be null PDR. Lastly, the fourth parameter is going to be my direction rect, which is going to be the memory address of my texture rect's local variable. And then I end my entire function with a semicolon. If I get this a bit here. There we go. Okay, once I'm done with that, let me check if everything's going perfectly. There we go. Okay, now once I'm done with that, let's see what else would I need. Well, maybe I could go ahead and I create rect. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Now, after I actually draw my text on my window, I do want to destroy my texture as well, because apparently whatever we create in C++, we do want to destroy it as well, so it does not cause like memory leaks, or not memory leaks, so it doesn't be floating like in my memory, if that makes any sense, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the SDL underscore destroy, let's say something like textures this function, which does require a parameter of my texture, which in this case is going to be my text texture ending with a semicolon. Then outside of my statement, I'm going to be destroying my surface as well, because I do create a surface too. So I'm going to go with something like SDL underscore destroy surface with a pair of parentheses that does require a parameter of my surface, which in this case is going to be my text surface ending with a semicolon. That's actually pretty much it for my entire Chats's class. Now I scroll all the way down here and go to my main loop. Now, for my main loop, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say create something like a integer of main loop. Actually, a main function, my bad, guys. I'm gonna go with something like integer main, add a pair of parentheses. Now, my main function does require two parameters. The first parameter is gonna be an integer of argc. The second parameter is going to be a character, which is a pointer towards an array of argv. Okay, and then this is going to be an array, so I add a pair of square brackets. And then I go with a pair of curly braces. Now, inside my main function, I want to go ahead and initialize my SDL and my two texture fonts. So I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like initialize. Okay, I might not specify what I'm initializing. This is like an initialize section in general. I'm going to go ahead and use a if statement to check if my SDL was not initialized properly while initializing it, because apparently in C++ we do got to give ourselves errors. So I'm going to say something like if not SDL underscore init. Let's go with something like SDL underscore init underscore video as my parameter to my SDL underscore init's function. What this basically means is if my SDL's video section was not initialized properly, I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm going to display myself in edit text. I'm going to go with a standard C error with an insertion operator that says something like SDL underscore init error. My SDL was not initialized properly. Then I'm going to go with another insertion operator and use the function that actually gets me an error. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore get errors as function with a pair of parentheses. Then I add another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Lastly is return one saying something went wrong in this block of code. And that's pretty much it for initializing my SDL. Now let's go ahead and initialize my TDF as well, which is basically true texture font. It's exactly the same way as I initialize my SDL. So I'm going to go with something like if a pair of parentheses. Let's say something like if not TDF underscore init. If my TDF was not initialized properly, I'm going to do something. I'm going to display myself a standard C error, a error message that says something like TDF underscore init error. Okay, and then I'm going to go with another insertion operator and use the function that actually gets me an error. So I'm going to go ahead and use the SDL underscore get errors as function. This function actually gets me an error. Then I'm going to go with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I go ahead and return one ending with a semicolon as well. Alright, now once I'm done initializing my SDL, I'm gonna go ahead and add another comment, and that's gonna say something like game variables. These are gonna be the basic game variables that my main loop would need. For example, I might go with something like a constant integer of a width variable. This is gonna be my window's width. What's the width of my window? I'm honestly gonna set that to be something like 1000, and then I might go with something like a constant integer of height, which is technically my window's height. I'm gonna be setting that to be equal to 800, ending with a semicolon. This is the height of my window. Once I'm done with that, I might not need x-axis velocity, I might not need y-axis velocity, and I might not need gravity. So what else would I need? I might need a floor, so I might add a comment here that says something like create Rex. Rex is basically like Rect is like a rectangle because my floor does come in a Rex's category as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a floor here. So I'm gonna use the SDL underscore F Rex's structure, which is gonna be having a floors as local variable representing it, ending with a semicolon. Now I'm gonna fill in a few attributes for my floor. For example, I might go with something like floor.x-axis, excuse me guys, equals to something like 0, ending with a semicolon, and then a floor.y-axis, which is going to be equal to something like, I don't know, maybe what are my floors with y-axis to be? I haven't thought of that. Since my height is set to 800, I might set my y-axis to be something like 700, ending with a semicolon. My floors' width is going to be, so floor.w is going to be equal to something like 1050, which is bigger than my window's width. I might go with something like my width plus, let's say something like 50, ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I'm going to go with something like my floors' height, that is going to be equal to something like, not too big, not too small. I might go with something like 100, ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done creating my rectangle, what else would I need? I might have to create my window and my render, so I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like create a window and a render. And since I am going to be creating both my window and my renderer at the same time, I gotta create two local pointers. For example, my first local pointer is going to be representing my SDL underscore windows structure. I'm going to be calling my pointer something like window, which is going to be set to null PDR for the time being. That is a placeholder for pointers. And then I'm going to do the same thing for my renderer. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore renderers structure that consists of all my renderers attributes. And my renderers structure is going to be represented by a renderers pointer, which is going to be equal to null PDR, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the two pointers that I would need. After I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and use the function that actually creates both my window and my renderer at the same time. To do that, I could go ahead and use the SDL underscore create a window and renderers function. This function creates both my window and my renderer at the same time, but it does require a few parameters. Okay guys, I take that back. It requires a bunch of parameters. The first parameter is going to be a title / a caption for my window, which in this case I might set it to be something like SDL3, I don't know, maybe window created. Okay, and then I'm going to add a comma. The second and third parameter is going to be my window's width and my window's height, which in this case I'm going to set it to be my width variable. Okay, and my height variable. Lastly, the fourth parameter is going to be a flag for my window. If you guys don't want to add a flag, you guys could go with 0, but I do want to add a flag that makes my window resizable. So I'm going to go ahead and use the SDL underscore window underscore resizable function. There we go. This function makes my window resizable. I think I spelled resizable wrong, guys. There we go. Okay, lastly, the fifth and sixth parameter is going to be the memory address of my Windows local variable and the memory address of my render's local variable. So I might go with the address of operator window and a address of operator for renderer. Okay, that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to go ahead and end my entire function with a semicolon. Now that I'm done creating both my window and my renderer at the same time, I am going to be using an if statement to check if they were not created properly, because apparently in C++ we do got to give ourselves headers. So I could go ahead and add a if statement that checks something like if not window, if my window was not created properly, or not a renderer, if my renderer was not created properly. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I'm gonna be displaying a error text. I'm gonna go with a standard C error with an insertion operator that says something like SDL underscore create. Maybe I add this in a new line because the error text is kind of big. Shouldn't width and height be not constant? The window is resizable. Honestly, guys, that is actually a really fair point. Why haven't I like thought of that? Guys, that's actually kind of genius. I might actually not keep them to be like constant width and height. Okay, no wonder when I like actually resize my window, my floor doesn't increase. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and add a comment. I mean, a edit text that's gonna say something like SDL underscore create window and renderer error. Okay, so basically how I got my edit text's name is I just like wrote my function and then slapped an error after that. And then I'm going to go with another insertion operator and use the function that actually gets me an error. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore gets errors as function. This function actually gets me an error. Then I go with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and return 1 saying something is wrong in this block of code, so go check it out. Okay, and before I return 1, if either my window or my renderer was not created properly, I do want to quit my SDL, so I might go with something like SDL underscore quit with a row of parentheses ending with a semicolon. And now that's pretty much it for my entire create window and renderers section. So I'm going to go ahead and exit that section, add another comment. Now let's see for my next comment, what else would I need? I think that I might need to add a comment that says something like create objects. I want a dedicated section for just objects, guys. So the first object is going to be representing my chatsys class. I'm going to go ahead and call this my chatsys object, which does require a few parameters. Let me scroll all the way up to check what all parameters, guys. I kind of forgot. Okay, so I go ahead. I do not require any parameters because my chat doesn't. It does not have a constructor. So I'm not going to add a pair of parentheses. I'm just going to end it with a semicolon. My second class is going to be my heroes class, representing a heroes object. Now my heroes constructor requires a few parameters. Let's see what all parameters does it require. It requires a renderer parameter and a scale parameter. So I'm going to go ahead and set my renderer pointer here. And he scales this parameter, which in this case is going to be 0.1, which is 10% of my original heroes' PNG's size, ending with a semicolon. My third object is going to be representing my mages class. And let's say something like a mages object or my mages constructor. That does require the same parameters as my hero, which is going to be my renderer and scale. My scale could be something like 0.15 because I want my mage to be a bit bigger than my hero, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and that's pretty much it for my create objects section. Now I'm gonna add another comment that says something like a main loop. I'm just curious, did I add a comment that says something like main loop when I created my main function? Right here. Why did I add main loop here? This is called main function. I might not even need something. Maybe I could go with something like main function. I can literally see it say main function. I might not need that, guys. There we go. Just add a bunch of spaces. Now, inside my main loop, I'm going to be requiring a few parameters before I do create my main loop. I'm going to be requiring a boolean parameter or a boolean variable of something like is running, which is initially going to be set to true, and then I might need an event variable as well to check my current event types. So I might go ahead and use the SDL underscore events structure, which is going to be represented by events as local variable ending with a semicolon. And now, I do want to add like movement for my hero as well, if you guys know what I mean. Like movement through key controls. So I could go ahead and add that inside of my heroes constructor here. So I'm going to be requiring a few private data members. So the first is going to be something like does my hero need a x-axis? Let's see. I'm not x-axis, guys. I forgot what I wanted. I might need a few boolean variables of something like a down to check if my A is currently being pushed down, and something like D down to check if my D is currently being pushed down. I'm going to be setting the two of them to be false initially because they're currently not being pushed down. Okay, which is going to be equal to false as well, ending with a semicolon. Speaking of which, guys, I want to use a restroom, so I might use a restroom real quick. Okay, wrap God in 200 speed, wrap C sharp docs in 200 speed, wrap C sharp, guys, wrap C sharp is kind of crazy. That's it, guys. I might use the restroom real quick. Give me a sec, guys. Let me actually go to my breadback screen and then mute myself as well. Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, let me go to my gameplay screen. Alright, perfect. Let me actually, what you call it? Put my mic back on. There we go. Okay, am I actually audible? Let me actually check. Let's extend that from there. Okay, maybe I think I am audible. Hold on, guys. Let me check in my OBS. There we go. Okay, that's it. Let's see where was I. I actually forgot, so I created two variables here. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and exit outside of my constructor and create a few methods. So, I'm gonna be creating a void method called something like, I don't know, maybe, chat or something. Should I create a void method called something like, or maybe something like events? Let's go with something like key events. So I'm gonna name my method called key events, which does require a parameter of, let's say, something like a constant SDL underscore events structure, which is going to be having my events local variable as a parameter. Then I go with the prof curly braces. Now, inside my key events function, I'm going to go ahead and use the SDL underscore key codes structure. This structure is going to be represented by a keys variable, which is going to be equal to my event dot key, which is the current key that's being pushed down. And then I go ahead and use a if statement. So I'm going to look for event type. So I'm going to check if my SDL underscore event if my event dot type, my bad guys, I'm going to check if my event dot type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down if my event type is key down. If my user is currently pushing any buttons down, I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm going to use a switch. You guys could use if statement, works exactly the same. And I'm going to add a condition of my key to check the current key that's being pushed down. Now I'm going to be adding a few cases to do something if some key is being pushed down. My first case is going to check if my SDL's key is something like A. If my user is currently pushing A, then I'm going to do something. Speaking of which, guys, I actually might need to inherit from my chat class as well, because I would need to I would want to check if my whatchamacallit, do I require on? Yeah, I want to check if my chat is on or my chat is not on. My chat on or not on is going to be determined inside of my main loop, so I might not inherit from my class. Instead, I might require a parameter of chat on. So I'm going to go ahead and require a parameter, which is going to be a boolean of something like chat on. Okay, this checks if my chat is currently on or not. That said, I'm going to scroll all the way down. Wait, this is my physics bodies class, guys. My bad. Let me go ahead and remove this from here. I'm going to scroll down to my heroes class that requires a parameter of something like chat on or off. So I'm going to go with something like chat on. Okay, the only time I want any of these key events to work is if my chat is not on. So I'm going to go ahead and add a if statement before my initial if statement. So I'm going to go with something like if of parentheses, if not chat on, if my chat is not currently on, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. My chat on is not going to be as a constructor here. I'm going to be requiring that as a parameter here. Okay, perfect. Now, if my chat is not on, that's the only time I want to do something. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this from there, paste it here. I'm going to check my event type. Okay, so if my key is A, if my user clicked A in my keyboard or pressed A in my keyboard, then I'm going to go ahead and set my A down boolean variable to be set to true, ending with a semicolon, and then I break as well, ending with a semicolon. Now, here's the thing. I have few private data members of boolean A down and D down that changes depending on whether or not my A is set to true or false. Maybe I might have to publicalize all this stuff because I will be requiring these parameters inside. Okay, I could try this way as well. I'm going to try both ways, guys. If this way did work, I'm pretty sure this way is going to work though. Okay, next up, for my second case, I'm going to check if my SDL's key is, let's say, something like D. If my D is currently being pushed down, then I'm going to set my D down boolean variable to be set to true, ending with a semicolon, then I break. And guys, next up, I want to hydrate my lips because I feel it's kind of dehydrated. Okay, perfect. And now once I'm done with this, I'm going to add my third and final case. For my case number 3, I'm going to check if my SDL's key is something like space. if my user clicks space, then I want to go ahead and do something. I'm going to go ahead and make my player jump. I'm going to end this with a semicolon. My bad, guys, with a colon. Okay, here's the thing for a jump. My jump method is inside of my physics bodies class. I do inherit from my physics bodies class here. So I might actually add a if statement. Let's go ahead and add a if statement to check something like if paper of parentheses, if on ground, if I'm currently on ground, and I will be on ground if my if this condition is met, that means I am on ground. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy that. Let's go ahead and paste it here. I'm gonna set this to be something like on ground, which is gonna be equal to this condition right here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now here's the thing, I don't have my floors as y-axis here, so I might actually require a floors as y-axis as a general parameter. So I might copy this part here. Okay, hi doing Yash, I appreciate you joining the stream. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, delete it from here. My floors as y-axis is gonna be a general variable here. Floating point floors as y-axis. Okay, and then I go ahead and require that as a parameter. I mean, I wouldn't actually require it as a parameter. I might have to require it as a parameter though. I'm gonna go ahead and paste that here. My floors is y-axis, I require as a parameter here as well. I don't know, I might not need it here. One question, don't you have school or college? Honestly, my college did end 3 days ago. I think it was about 3 days ago, because this is my winter break, so I do have more time to stream and all that stuff, and guys, less stuff to study after streams. Okay, now let's see. I added a floors as y-axis here, but I don't have a variable. Maybe I go ahead and oh guys, I'm kind of stupid. Let's copy this variable. I'm gonna go ahead and paste the variable somewhere up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste that here. Okay, so on ground is going to be initially set to false, ending with a semicolon. And once I apply gravity, I'm going to be setting my on ground to be false here. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this here. My on ground equals to this condition. Now my on ground change depending on this. This doesn't make sense, honestly, guys. Yeah, it actually doesn't make sense. I'm not going to be adding my on ground check here. I might require as a variable though. Let's go ahead and delete this from here. Okay guys, I think I was asking too much here. So now to check if I'm on ground, what do I do? Maybe I go ahead and require a parameter of, oh, there we go. I might require a floating point parameter of something like floors as y-axis. Let's go with something like floating point of floors as y-axis. Guys, that fixes everything actually. Okay, now to check if my floors is I gotta check if I'm currently on ground. That I do here. So if I am on ground, that's when I want my player to be jumping upwards. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my jump function that requires a parameter of power, which is going to be 12, which means my player is going to be jumping upwards in negative 12, because if I go to my jump method here, I set my y-axis velocity to be negative power. Okay, perfect. Guys, that made me use half of my brain strength here. That said, I'm going to go ahead and copy my if statement from here now. Just to save time, I'm going to go ahead and paste it here as well. I'm just going to be changing my key down to be something like key up. Key up is basically the opposite of key down. Key down checks if any of my buttons are currently being pushed down. Key up checks if they're not being pushed. If these buttons are not being pushed down, which means to set my A down and D down to be false. Then I go ahead and end this case as well, because I wouldn't need my case anymore here. And guys, I forgot to add a break here. It's really important to add breaks after our cases. So I'm going to go ahead and add a break here, ending with a semicolon. And that's actually pretty much it for my event type for moving my player. Now I'm going to go ahead and exit outside of my if statement. add a comment that says something like key controls. Usually I add my key controls in my main loop, but I might add in my class because it's the same thing. I'm gonna add a if statement to check if my let's say something like a down is currently set to true. If it is, why do I keep tapping S? There we go. If my A down is set to true, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I want to move my Rex's position, so Rex's x-axis is gonna go towards the left. I'm gonna go with minus equals to something like my x-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon, which is 5 pixels per frame. And then I go ahead and add another if statement that checks something like for my D down. So if my D down is set to true, then I'm going to go ahead and set my Rex dots, let's say something like x-axis to increase by my x-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon. My player goes towards the right. That's pretty much it for my key controls. I didn't add clamping yet, guys. Should I add clamping? I don't know. Maybe I'll add clamping in a bit. Okay, clamping is basically not letting my player exit my window type stuff. Okay, that's it. I added my key controls. I added my event checks. This is actually like very much shit. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this inside of my main loop now. So I have my main loop here. I'm gonna go ahead and create my main while loop now. So I'm gonna go with something like while is running, while my program is running, or while my is running is set to true. I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, let's go ahead and add a comment that says something like event loop. Event loop is gonna be where my main game events actually run. So my event loop is going to be a while loop inside of a while loop, also known as a nested loop or a nested while loop. And my event loop is going to be requiring a parameter of the SDL underscore poll events function. And my SDL underscore poll events function does require a parameter of the memory address of my event variable. Basically, what the SDL underscore poll events function does is it like looks for all the functions that I'm going to be looking for inside of my while loop. If any of those functions is met, it does what I tell it to do. For example, I could go with something like if a parentheses, let's say something like if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore quit. If my event type is quit, if my user click the top right X button to exit my window, I want to do something. I want to go ahead and set my is running boolean variable to be false ending with a semicolon. That ends my entire while loop here. And once I'm done with that, I want to eat some oats because I feel like I'm kind of starving. What up, guys? Okay, that was my first if statement and my first event check. For my second event check, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say go with something like chat dot. This is gonna be my chats slash dot. Let's see what else function it has. Display text on window, that won't be here. That's going to be in my graphics section. Storyline, nope. Text events, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and use my text events function that does require two parameters. The first parameter of my events, the second parameter of my chat on. So I'm going to go ahead and create a chat on this variable. So I'm going to go with something like chat on. Okay, so a boolean chat on this variable outside my while loop. Here's the thing. Should it be outside or inside? Let me think real quick, guys, because I'm pretty sure that my chat on type stuff, it changes every single iteration depending on what I click or I not click. So it could actually go inside my while loop. I might actually get it inside. If it didn't work, I'll get it outside. Okay, so let's go ahead and paste my chat on this variable here. Now, I want to, my chat on is initially going to be set to false, ending with a semicolon. Because when I start my game, I don't want my chat to be on, but I'm gonna be adding a few variables to actually convert my chat on to be chat off. So I might go with something like if a parentheses, let's say if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down. If my event type is key down, if my user is currently pushing a few buttons down, I'm gonna be looking for exactly what button is my user actually pushing. So I might need to use the SDL underscore key codes structure. I might actually use the key codes structure up here. So I'm going to go ahead and use the SDL underscore key codes structure, which is going to be represented by a keys as variable. That is going to be equal to event.key.key, ending with a semicolon. Now inside my if statement, I'm going to be adding a switch, which is going to be looking for a condition of my key. The keys condition looks for any key that's currently being pushed down on my keyboard, I will be using cases to check whether or not, let's say something like left shift and right shift is pressed. If any of those shifts is pressed, I change my chat on to be false or true depending on that. First, I could go with something like if my SDL's key is, let's say something like left shift, I'm gonna go with L shift. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. This is gonna be SDL's key. There we go. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I wanna go ahead and set my chat on boolean variable to be equal to true. I wanna turn my chat on if my left shift is being pushed, ending with a semicolon. Excuse me guys, then I break. For my case 2, I check if my SDL's key is right shift. I'm gonna go with something like right shift. If it is right shift, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I think I spelled shift wrong, guys. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end it with a semicolon, actually with a colon. Then set my chat on boolean variable to be something like false, ending with a semicolon. Then I break, ending with a semicolon. What are you programming? Honestly, today I am actually, working on AI-based text logic in SDL3 using C++, which basically means in my chat class, I have a whole storyline depending on whether my NPC is going to be angry, happy, or neutral. Depending on that, when I say him something, or like when we chat, he responds according to what I tell him, if that makes any sense, guys. I don't think that makes sense, guys. That's it. Now let me go ahead and scroll all the way down here. Where was I at? I actually forgot. Let me go under my game variables right here. Now, this check, it converts my chat on to be either true or either false. So now I could go ahead and add my event variable right here and my chat on variable here. Okay, and then I go ahead and end my function with a semicolon. Once I'm done with my chat objects as text events, I'm gonna go ahead and work on my hero dots, let's say something like key events. This checks whether or not my what buttons are currently being pressed, and depending on those, it moves my player around. This function requires 3 parameters: my event variable, chat on variable, and floors as y-axis. My event variable, my chat on variable, and my floor.y-axis, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, is there anything else that I might need here? I think I shrugged the code so much. This is actually kind of genius, guys. It feels really cool to not have my event loop being like flooded with like a billion events. Okay, that's it. I'm pretty much done with my while loop here. Actually, my event loop here. So I'm gonna go ahead and exit my event loop and then add a comment that says something like fill screen. This is where I'm gonna be filling my screen. Now, to fill my screen, actually, I'm not the one that colors my screen. My renderer is the stuff that actually colors my screen. So I gotta set a color for my renderer. To do that, I could use the SDL_set a render draw color function. What this function actually does is it like sets my render to draw a color, and it does require 5 parameters. The first parameter is going to be my renderer. The second, third, and fourth parameter is going to be an RGB value, which in this case I want it to be 0, 248, and 255. That is basically the RGB for cyan. Lastly, my fifth parameter is going to be alpha/opacity, how transparent or how not transparent on my object to be, or my color to be. In this case, I'm going to set it to be 255 because I don't want my cyan to be transparent at all. Once I'm done setting a color for my renderer, I'm going to go ahead and use the SDL_, let's say something like the render clear function. What the render clear function does is it like clears/fills my entire screen with the color that is currently set to my renderer's pointer, ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done filling my screen, I'm going to add another comment. Let's say something like graphics. This is where all my drawing is going to be added, like what all I draw and everything on my screen. Before that, guys, I want to eat something because I'm kind of starving. Guys, I feel like my voice is like so cold right now. I mean, I did like get it like 2.5 hours ago. That's it. Now, once I'm in my graphics section, I want to go ahead and draw stuff. Firstly, I want to draw my hero, so I might go with something like hero.theDraw method that does require a parameter of my renderer. And what else? Just render. I'm going to end it with a semicolon. Then I'm going to go with something like mage.draw with a pair of parentheses. I'm going to be requiring a parameter of my renderer as well, ending with a semicolon. And then I might go with something like my chat dot. I'm going to go with something like, I don't know, maybe, I forgot, was it like control space? So there's an option called like display history, display text on window, storyline, and text event. Maybe I want to go ahead and display my text on window as one of my graphics. Now my display text on window method does require a bunch of parameters. It requires a render parameter, it requires a font parameter, and it requires a scale parameter. So I'm going to be adding my render parameter. I did not create a font, so I gotta go ahead and create a font. Do you stream every day? Honestly, I do actually stream every day. That's it. Tomorrow I will be streaming a bit sooner because like I won't be able to stream on my regular time type stuff. That said, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say create a font variable. My font variable is going to be created, I don't know, maybe under my game variable. Actually, maybe under my create rex. So I'm gonna add a comment that says something like load font, so we can like experiment with like different fonts. Now my load fonts is let's say method is gonna be having a let's say TDF underscore fonts structure. This font consists of all my fonts attributes, and it is going to be represented by a pointer towards my fonts local variable, which is going to be equal to the TDF. Actually, I think it's the TDF underscore open fonts function. There we go. Okay, C++, C or C++. Honestly, it is C++. That said, I'm going to add a parentheses. Now, my open fonts function does require two parameters. The first parameter is going to be the file path for my font. And since I forgot the file path, I'm going to go with something like Control-Alt-L, get my solution explorer here. Right-click my SDL3 properties, open my folder in Explorer. Now let's see, so my file path is going to be fonts and then open sans italic. I might copy this because I forgot the name. There we go. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add a pair of quotes here. I might go with something like my fonts folder slash open sans italic.tdf. That's my fonts whatchamacallit. That's my fonts file path. My font size could be something like 24. Then end my function with a semicolon. Now I scroll all the way down here. And on my display text on window, I'm going to be requiring a font size parameter. So I might add something like font shirt. So there we go. Okay, and lastly, my third parameter is going to be my scale. I don't know my scale. Maybe I could go with something like 0.2, ending with a semicolon. Yo, Near here, what are you cooking? Honestly, I am like working on AI-based text logic in SDL3 using C++. That's it. Today is the level 4. I've been like going over this for like I think the past 5 streams. That said, in today's stream, I am trying to like make my NPC talk depending on the emotion that he's currently feeling. For example, if he's angry, he responds with these values. If he's happy, he responds with these values. If he's neutral, he responds with these values. And how does he know whether or not he's angry, happy, or neutral? Depending on the histories that I have here. So I'm going to be looking over my histories vector. If my conversation leads to something that's that needs to make someone mad, he's going to switch his mode to be mad mode, if that makes any sense. So from me, good stuff, that keep up your grind from Ass. That actually means the world to me, Tempo. I appreciate you so much. Or is it pronounced as I think it's like Ace. I think it's like something like Ace, but Ace is ACE. AUS should be something like Ace. Guys, I'm really awful with like pronouncing words or something. That's it. Now, once I'm done with displaying my chat on my window, what else would I need? Let's see all the function that my classes had. My mage function, I displayed him on the window. That's pretty much it. I used my key events function. That's pretty much it as well. My drop. Okay, a draw method. This is for my physics bodies class. I gotta go ahead and apply my gravity. Okay, so I gotta go ahead and apply gravity. Did I already apply my gravity? I did not, so I gotta do that. Oh, Australia. That does make sense. Okay, how do we Ayrton, is that your pronounce name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Is this Lua from Roblox Studio? I used to actually make models for like Roblox Studio. That's what I stopped at like I think 2 years ago. This ain't Lua, bro. Guys, actually Lua is kind of crazy, but Lua is kind of fun. I did like try programming on it for a bit though. It is like a really fun language, guys. Okay, it's C++. Okay, that said, now let's go ahead and add another comment here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a comment. Let's see something like, I don't know, maybe apply graphics. Let's go with something like apply graphics. Now for my apply graphics section, I'm going to go ahead and firstly go with something like my hero.the apply gravity method. I'm going to apply gravity to my hero with a pair of parentheses. My apply gravity method does require a parameter of my floors as y-axis. This looks like Lua, my bad. Honestly, does like Lua and C++ have similarities in it? Because I've like used Lua maybe like once. I don't even know. I haven't like actually completely programmed in Lua or something. Maybe I learned it like for one day. I think it was kind of different type stuff. That said, once I'm done applying my gravity, let's see what else would I need. Let's scroll all the way up to my heroes class. I have actually my physics bodies class. I have applied gravity, I have jump that is being used, I have draw, so I've honestly used every single thing here. That's actually perfect. What are you doing? Honestly, today I am like working on the level 4 of my SDL, actually AI text input in C++ using SDL3. Today I'm working on, making my NPC reply depending on my storyline here. Like if he's angry, he responds with these values. If he's happy, he responds with these values. And if he's neutral, not angry, not happy, he responds with these values. Are you programming a game? Something like that, honestly. I'm working on like the AI logic on it, but eventually once my C++ for 100-day series is over, I'm going to be using Python and C++ together. Python for the AI section, C++ for the speed section type stuff. That's let's scroll all the way down here. Let's see, is there something that I'm missing now? I think I did almost everything. I applied my gravity here, I added my graphics here. So that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and present it. So I'm gonna go with something like present. Okay, so now I'm going to be presenting my render on my screen. To do that, I could use the SDL_render present function. If I didn't present my render on my screen, if my screen wouldn't have any color type stuff, this does require a parameter of my render ending with a semicolon. Next up, I might have to add FPS as well. FPS is basically frames per second. That's cool. Honestly, it does sound kind of cool. Okay, bro, you don't need to tell everyone what you're doing each time in detail. That does make sense, guys. I shouldn't actually say that every single time. That said, I'm going to go ahead and create FPS. Now, for my FPS, I could use the SDL_delays function that does require a parameter in milliseconds. I will be going with 16 milliseconds because that is technically 60 frames per second. That's it. This is pretty much it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and exit outside of my main loop. And let's see. So this is going to be a legitimate game. Yeah, honestly, that kind of stuff. It's just for like a game logic type stuff. I will be adding collisions later on as well. Okay, it's okay. People will be joining every minute. That does make sense, guys. That's it. Next up, once I'm done with all my main loop content, I'm going to add a comment that says cleanup outside the main loop. Cleanup is going to be once my user exits the window. Firstly, I want to destroy my window. So I'm going to use the SDL_destroy windows function with a parentheses that does require a windows parameter ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go with something like SDL_destroy renderer, which does require, hold up guys, I think I spelled render wrong. There we go, which does require parameter of my renderer ending with a semicolon. I think I spelled my destroy wrong, not renderer, guys. Let's go with DESTROY. And then I want to quit my SDL, so I'm going to go with something like SDL_quit with a parentheses ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I want to return 0 saying everything went smooth here. Okay, telling us everything is what makes this video work, guys. That actually does make sense. Okay, that's it. I just realized I forgot an important thing in my graphics. I forgot to set a color for my, for my floor. Maybe I not add that in my graphics, and I could add that. I think I'll add it in my graphics only. So I might go with something like SDL_set render draw color. So I'm going to be setting my renderer to draw a color. Okay, with a parentheses, this does require a few parameters. The first is going to be renderer. Second, third, and fourth is going to be an RGB value. It's pretty nice that you're explaining lines in detail. That does actually make sense. That's it. I might actually look it up. Let's say something like, what is the RGB for brown? Okay, let's see. So the RGB is... did I spell RGB wrong? What up, guys? What is the RGB for brown? So it is 150, 75, and 0. So I might go with something like 150, 75, and 0. Okay, and lastly, the final parameter is going to be an alpha/opacity, how transparent or how not transparent I want my floor to be. In this case, I don't want my brown color to be transparent at all. Now, once I'm done creating, setting a color to for my renderer, I'm going to go ahead and use the SDL_render, I'm saying my renderer, to fill rect, so render fill rect function with a parentheses. Now, what my render fill rect function does is it like fills my rectangle with the color of my renderer. This does require two parameters. The first parameter is going to be my renderer, which is my color. The second parameter is going to be the memory address of my floor's local variable ending with a semicolon. And now, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens, guys. Okay, hold up guys, say something like failed to compile. Let's see what line. Did I miss any parameters in some line? Hold up guys. Okay, desk you cannot assign to a variable. Is that constant? Guys, actually this is a perfect time to check my debugger, like if it works. Okay, argument truncate from double to float. Truncate from double to float. Okay, so it says SDL3 algorithm. Okay, so something is wrong with my algorithms this file here. It could be something right here. I feel like everything went kind of smooth up till here. Okay, so to lower C, this part is correct. Argument truncate from double to floor. Okay, equal to conversion from int to floor, possible loss of data. Function to lower can be made static. Okay, hold up guys. I think I went through this error before as well. Function to lower right here can be made static. Additional functions can be generated for this type. So to fix that, should I actually remove my constant from here? Okay, that's constant SDL underscore event. Probably just typo or something. Now guys, that does make sense. This is like one of the most alpha things that happens. Okay, forwarded controllers to save the code and run the command. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it says building project, SDL3 project failed. Okay, so it says conversion, loss of data. Okay guys, this is the perfect time to use my debugger. Let me try my debugging skills, even though this is like the first time I'll be using it. Okay, let's start debugging. Okay, is this what debugging actually does? Okay, so it says to lower, return a value. Oh, I see. Okay, hold up guys. I gotta go ahead and return my texture. If I didn't want to do that, I could go ahead and set this to be something like void. There we go. My void method did not return anything. Okay, since this can be void, I'm gonna go ahead and return something here. Let's go ahead and return my text. Okay, ending with a semicolon. I returned my text here, so it should actually work. This is going to be something like a constant standard string of text. Did I spell my text something wrong? Okay, I mean, it is an integer, right? I do return something. Hold on, guys. Let's go with something like a iris of operator and then a return. Okay, wait. Is something wrong in this part? Why can't I use my text here to return? This is my standard transform. Lastly, I return my text. This is a constant standard string of text. Okay, integer. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid, guys. Let me change this to something like standard string. There we go. This makes more sense now. That was so stupid, guys. I should have seen that coming. And now Party Control has to save the code and run the command and see what happens. So I'm pretty sure that one error was fixed. I should have run it like segmentally. Function to lower can be made static. Can be made static. I mean, I could make it static. It wouldn't like make a big difference. Okay. Although the actual error comes with desk, you cannot assign a variable that is constant. You cannot assign a variable that is constant. If audit control has to save the code and run the command and see what happens. There we go. I get my console here, so I couldn't add a variable here that's constant. Secondly, I get my window up here. I have my floor, but I don't have my I don't have my players up here. If I would hit right shift, type something like hello, hit enter, it does not display my console, so I am missing a few tiny functions up here. Okay, let's scroll all the way down here. Now, under my under my images, actually under my main loop where I create objects, under my graphics section, I go with hero.draw. Why does it not draw my hero? Let me check. Maybe is it because of my scales? So this is my heroes object. Let's go to my heroes class up here. Okay, my heroes class does not have a draw method, but I am using the draw method from my from my physics bodies class right here. Okay, that has a render parameter, has a texture parameter, has null PDR, and has rect. Maybe I should have required a parameter of my render inside of my constructor here as well. Would that actually work? I think that might work. Let me try that. So I'm gonna go ahead and require a parameter here as well of a SDL underscore frect. Not frect, my bad guys, of my SDL underscore render with an asterisk to a render as a local variable. Okay, because when I said constant, uh, okay, because when I said constant means it's going through a series of tools to identify which one it should do, and then when it does. Okay, let's see. Okay, guys, I think message was retracted. Hold up, guys, I got like a message that was deleted by Nightbot. Let me check. Okay, let's see. Let's scroll all the way down here to... Okay, now I require parameter of my renderer here as well in my physics bodies as constructor. Okay, that should actually be pretty much it. I'm pretty sure this should work here now. Okay, I require parameter of my renderer here as well. Now, if I did control H to save the code, let's see what happens. This is why I like to run the function after each new addition function. Otherwise, I spend way too long running it back to find what's messed up. That makes sense, guys. This is reconnecting. Okay, OBS connected successfully. Mic testing. Is the stream going good, guys? There we go. Okay, let's see. Doesn't the header say you're changing a value of a constant variable? Honestly, I did fix that part. That was like for my standard string to lower function. I converted like I had it to be like a constant standard string, but I will be changing my text a lot here, so it did not have to be constant, if that made any sense. Now let's scroll all the way down. What was I gonna do? Under my physics bodies as class, I'm gonna go ahead and paste the method right here. Let's see what method it ends all the way here. I'm gonna go ahead and paste it all the way here. Okay, so I go with something like hero.theDraw method. Okay, let's go all the way down here. Mage.draw. I'm gonna go ahead and paste a draw method under my mages class as well. I'm assuming my mages class is gonna be under my heroes class. There we go, guys. I was getting kind of greedy with this. I could have done it this way as well. Now for the controller to save the code and run the command and see what happens. I get my first window here. I get my second window here. Now the second issue could be, whatchamacallit, could it be because of the positions that I've set that my PNGs are not being shown on my window? Because I did present my renderer on my screen. Okay, so I presented my renderer on my screen. I apply gravity. Is it because of my landing? I don't think it's because of my landing, because I would have been able to see my mage as well. Is it because of their size? I don't think it's because of their size. Then it might be because of one flaw in their function. Okay, so x-axis 600, y-axis 700, scale stuff. My position is wrong. Hahaha, greedy code, guys. That did make sense. I was actually trying to like make my main function completely dependent on my classes here. I think that was a really bad call. Okay, that's it. Let's see. So I have a key events as function. I'm assuming that should I just go ahead and add all this inside of my inside of my event loop here, because I thought I could have done it without adding it in my event loop. But before I actually do add it in my event loop, I want to go with Control C, copy that, get some C/ChatGPT here. I want to see that if it can be fixed without actually adding it inside my main loop. Actually, inside my event loop, let's say something like, let's say I feel like I was being too greedy, then writing my code, I wanted to keep my main loop or my main function clean, so I used classes to do most of my stuff, but I feel like it's kind of backfired because I don't see my PNGs at all. Should I go with textures? Save first, then try? Honestly, I did like save my code. That said, people, you didn't get greedy. You got ambition poison and start swinging C++ like it was a toy. Your stream can see it. Your compiler can feel it. Your sensei can smell it. But don't panic. Your class design is not the problem anymore. The problem is 100% predictability, and it hits every beginner who tries to organize too early. Your textures are invisible because you're calling SDL_get texture inside your physics body constructor before you load the texture, meaning textures uninitialized garbage. So textures with width and height becomes garbage. Okay. Guys, why does that actually make so much sense? I should have actually thought of that part. So what basically was wrong here? I was getting really greedy, guys, here. So I gotta go ahead and copy my textures with width and height variables here, or the section from here, gotta delete that from here. And I might just require a parameter which is going to be rect.x-axis equals to x-axis, a rect, okay, ending with a semicolon, and then rect.y-axis equals to y-axis, ending with a semicolon. The mouse sensei word is hilarious, guys. That does actually make sense. That's it. Let me scroll all the way down. Now, the reason I was getting really greedy was because before I draw my texture, I gotta go ahead and get my textures as width and height. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste this here. Now I get my textures as width and my texture as height. Although the scale parameter is inside my constructor, so let's go ahead and copy this part again. I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, delete it from here. I'm gonna paste it inside my constructor right here. So once I load my physics bodies as texture, I want to go ahead and get my textures as width and height. There we go. Rect.x-axis and rect.y-axis is already set, and my texture and width and height is the only thing that I might need here. Okay, now this should actually display my it should display my window on my screen. Actually, my PNGs on my screen. I'm gonna copy this though and paste it for my mages class as well. Let's go all the way here and then paste it right there. And now I've added Control S to save the code and run the command. Let's see what happens. So I have my actual textures now. I get my first console here, and I get my window, here. This is my player that can move, that can jump. Guys, the jump is perfect as well. It's just my mage's position. If you guys can see my mage, he's like, the head is shoved right under my floor. Guys, I gotta fix that part real quick. Let's change my mage's position real quick. So under my mage's constructor, I might change my y-axis to be something like let's go with something like 100. Okay, excuse me guys, and then I ended with a semicolon. Now if I Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I'm not going to be getting in my console, just get my window here. There we go. So there is my massive mage up here. I'm going to go ahead and apply gravity for my mage, so my mage does fall down as well, since he is an entity and he is affected by my physics body. So I might go with something like mage.apply gravity. There we go. With a pair of parentheses that does require floors as y-axis parameter, ending with a semicolon. Now, if I did Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see, can I get my players down before the gravity affects them? There we go, perfect guys. Maybe I want to get my mage a little lower. I definitely want to get my player a bit lower, because like I feel my player is like a bit above my my floors. So I might exit my window, scroll all the way up here till my apply gravities is landing function. I'm gonna go ahead and check if my rect.y-axis plus my rect.height of my players' height is either greater than or equal to my floors' y-axis. Let's go with something like plus 10. Then I'm gonna do this and also add this with 10. Okay, flying mage look more badass, guys. Actually, it does make sense. I mean, yeah, that does make sense. So maybe I might actually not add that for my mage, and I just might add that for my hero. Okay, let's go ahead and end this. But for that, I might have to add like a separate gravity for my hero. Okay, maybe I think this is gonna like work for the time being, because like I don't want to actually add another gravity, because like my player can move around. He jumps all the way up to my mage type stuff. I just want to get his position a bit lower. I could like always do that stuff. Okay, that said, this is actually like pretty much it for getting both my PNGs on my window. Now I gotta work on the chat stuff. Let's check if that works. I actually forgot to check that. So I get my PNGs. Actually, I get my window here and my console here as well now. I'm going to go ahead and hit left shift for my chat to be on. Maybe right shift for chat to be on. Okay, my chat does not work here. I'm going to type something like hello, hit enter. Nothing displays on my window. So let's go ahead and fix my chat section now as well. Okay, a flying mage makes it more complicating. That actually does make sense. I actually, I was going to add like another function inside of a mage's class that actually, disables my mage's gravity, so my mage can like fly up as well. I just want to make fundamental work for now. That does make sense. Okay, now let's go ahead and fix my chat classes, my chat displaying on my window. So I display my chat on my window here. What is this function called? display chat on window. Okay, I did like all the function. If my text surface, okay, if that is the case, SDL underscore create texture from surface, I get my textures as width and height, and then display it on my window. Although I do not get my textures as x-axis and y-axis because I want to set my x-axis and y-axis to be above my mage's head. Let's see if I remember that function now, guys. Under my, let's see, under my main loop, maybe under my apply graphics, I might go ahead and set my chat dot, let's go with something like rect. Was it called rect? Does my chat have a rect? Was it called chat rect game? Oh, well, guys, I think the game isn't over yet. Hold up, guys. Maybe I think I got it from here. Okay, what was the function called? Let's see. Let's scroll all the way up here. It's not called chat rect. What is my chat's rect called? My chat does not have a rect, guys. That is kind of hilarious. Like, actually, no, man, it does have a rect. It's called texture rect. So texture surface. Where's my rect at, guys? I can't see my rect. Am I blind? Where's my rect, guys? Okay, if you have the mage floating a bit about the hero, that makes the hero can slide underneath the mage to cause that effect. That does make sense to be more interactive. I might actually add that part as well. That's it. Let's see. Guys, am I blind? Where's the rect here? Where did I oh, there we go. My SDL underscore f rect is in my chat section, but it is inside my display texture on Windows' function. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this part, delete it from here. Let's scroll all the way up here and paste it right here. So it's called texture rect. So I might go ahead and just use my texture rect. Let's copy that. Scroll all the way down here. Let's scroll all the way down here. There we go. Okay, my SDL underscore render present. I present something. I'm gonna go with chat dot texture rect. So I want my chat's x-axis to be equal to my hero. Okay, to be equal to my heroes is, I forgot this part, guys. What was the formula here? I want my chat's x-axis to be equal to my, bro, parentheses. Was it parentheses? I think it was something like hero dot rect dot y-axis. Was it something like this, guys? I actually forgot this part. Guys, I might actually look the formula up. Let me go ahead and get some /ChatGPT up here. Let's scroll all the way up here. Because I remember using this formula last stream, but I forgot the formula. I keep forgetting it. Let's scroll all the way up. I might see it somewhere here. Okay, maybe not sure, guys. Let's scroll all the way up and get there. Okay, I might see the formula real soon here. Okay, not sure. Let's scroll all the way up. Okay, I think it's above my chat here. Okay, let's scroll higher. There we go. So my mage.dst rect. So I chat.mage.dst rect. Chat.mage.dst rect. Okay, chat. Okay, so my chat says rect. Why do I have a mage.dst rect here, guys? I think that was a typo. So my chat's rect x-axis is going to be equal to my heroes' x-axis plus my heroes' width minus my chat's width divided by 2. I think I see. No control F search, guys. I'm so stupid. I could have typed control F, guys. I should think these things when I actually gotta like use those stuff up. Okay, so my chat dot texture, my chat's x-axis is going to be equal to my heroes' x-axis. So hero dot rect dot x-axis. Is my heroes' x-axis called something else, guys? This is getting kind of tedious, I think. Okay, instead of protected, I'm gonna go with something like public. Now everyone can inherit these properties from here. So I'm gonna scroll all the way down here. I should be able to use this. There we go. My hero dot rect dot x-axis is going to be increasing by, let's say, something like my hero dot rect dot width minus my chat dot texture rect, my chat is rect, okay, dot width divided by 2. Okay, perfect. Ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna do the same thing for like y-axis. I'm gonna go with something like my chat is rect, so chat texture rect dot y-axis is gonna be equal to, I feel your pain, bro, guys, that's really awful. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like hero rect dot y-axis. I'm gonna be this time subtracting that. I forgot the formula for the second part, guys. I need to memorize the formula. I feel it's gonna be really useful in the future. So my mate, my heroes is y-axis minus my chats is y-axis. So I'm gonna go with my heroes is y-axis minus my chat dot texture rect. There we go, chat dot texture rect dot y-axis minus 10, ending with a semicolon. Now, if I need controllers to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my console here, and I get my window here. Now, let's see if I were to hit left shift to enable my chat, I say something like hello. Okay, I think it was right shift to enable chat, I say something like hello. Is my chat being displayed anywhere on my screen? It's not being displayed anywhere on my screen. Wait, did you guys see something on my console? Hold on, guys, let me actually recheck that. Was something displayed on my console? I don't think so, I might check it later. Okay, so let's see, did I actually display my text on window? So I have my display text on window function here. My chat size is 0.2, so that's one issue. Do I want to change my chat scale to be something like 0.1, which is 0.1 of its original size? Let's scroll all the way up to my chats. Okay, let's scroll all the way up here to my chats class. Now, when I actually do create my window, where do I create my window? I mean my chat. Where do I display it on my screen? Chat on. I added a condition that turns that to be true and turns that to be false. Okay, here's the thing. Would it work if I did not have this boolean variable here? I might have to try it without that as well. As annoying as it gets, guys. Hold up, guys, I'm not checking. Okay, I think I see where I messed up. Maybe because in my main loop, like when I go to my main loop here, okay, my main while loop, I have my boolean of chat on inside of my while loop, so that changes to be false every iteration. What if I paste it outside my while loop? And then I gotta hit left shift. That's right, that's left shift to turn it on. Now, if I need control, I should save the code. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, just save the important stuff in a notepad. Memorizing all your formulas and code functions takes too much brain RAM, guys. That does make sense. I might actually write it somewhere. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy this stuff. Let's go ahead and save the code and run the command. I get my console there, I get my window here. Moment of truth, guys. If I were to hit my left shift, type something like hello. Doesn't work. If I were to hit right shift, type something like hello. Hit enter. Okay, it doesn't work if I tab H. It doesn't display here. So the issue isn't me displaying it on my window. The issue is my chat on this boolean variable here. It would have worked perfectly if I didn't have my this condition here. Let me try it without this condition. Let's delete that part real quick. Let's remove this from here real quick as well. Okay, let's go with shift tab to de-indent. Alright, perfect, guys. That's for checking if my event type is down. Alright, guys, let's go with Control Shift Z real quick. Okay, with Control C. Okay. Let's get my if statement. So my if statement, it starts there, it ends there. So I gotta remove this pair of parentheses and this if statement. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and copy all this. Go with Shift Tab to de-indent. So let's go with Shift Tab. Okay, now if I need Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, do you not... hold up, guys, let me get my console up here. And then my window up here. There we go. Do you not get annoyed with yourself? Whatchamacallit? Guys, I feel like it's kind of funny in a way. That said, let's see. Let me go ahead and type something like hello. Hit enter. It does not display on my window. So I think the chat on isn't the issue, guys. Let me go with a bunch of Control Shift C's. There we go. Now, if I hit Control Z to copy the code, let's also say how ChatGPT would just think the error is here. Let's go ahead and paste it here. Go with Shift Enter and say something like, say, I don't see my chat on my screen. I tried figuring it out for a bit, but I didn't seem to fix it. Dot dot dot. Let's see. While ChatGPT is replying, let me go ahead and eat something, guys. I'm kind of starving. People, what? Okay, what did you do? What did you do to your chat rec logic? I can feel the same sec fault energy from here. Ask AI before you destroy code. That does make sense, guys. It's a bad habit, honestly, is it? I mean, I do use ChatGPT just to like figure out stuff, and I actually can't figure it out after trying for a while type stuff, or when I want to learn something new. Your chat is rendering, but its position math is broken. That it's drawing somewhere in the fourth dimension. We're fixing this right now. Was my formula wrong, guys? The real problem, this demon right here, guys, did I actually mess this up? Line 1 is weird. Line 2 is a war crime. You're subtracting chat.texture rect from hero's y-axis, even though texture rect.y-axis was never initialized, so it contains random memory. That means the chat bubble is being teleported to positions like y equal to 100 minus 495834.23 minus 10. Bro, ChatGPT is killing me with these responses, which becomes y equals to somewhere in Antarctica. That's why you won't see it. How to fix? Okay, the fix you need: set the chat position using input text, texture only size. Don't subtract uninitialized garbage. Replace these two lines: chat. Okay, replace this line with chat dot my chat's x-axis equals to my heroes' x-axis plus my heroes' width divided by 2 minus my chat's width divided by 2. I see. Isn't this like the same exact thing that I did though? Okay, damn, it's a bad habit to say whatchamacallit. Are you dumb? Oh, honestly, guys, is it? Because I don't know where I heard it. Why this works? Center chat above the hero position uses currently updated width and height, no initialized memory, no math from the void. One more thing, people. Inside the display text on window, you never set textures x-axis and y-axis, meaning that whatever random RAM is laying around, so fix it properly. Do not move the chat during render, move it before render, after hero moves, which you already do good. Just use the correct math, syntax command, apply the fix, run the code, your chat bubble will appear instantly. Okay, guys, just to save some time, I'm gonna be actually copying this part because I want to actually paste and check that if it works first before actually like going back and forth and tapping it out. Because I feel it is the same exact thing as what I did before. If I hit Control S to save the code and run the command and see what happens. I get my console here. I get my window here. Because guys, if this was supposed to work, I would have at least seen whatever I type on my in my console. If I hit right shift, type something like hello, it displays only you on my window. If I go with left shift and type something like something like hello, it doesn't display. Okay, if I hit enter, doesn't work. If I hit right shift and I hit enter, that works. If I hit something like FG, make that big. Okay, that part doesn't work. I think I understand why. When I like draw my chat so all the way up to my chats class, guys, I see some progress here. Above my chats class, I draw my chat, okay? And then I just draw my texture. Now this whatchamacallit dude is pretty annoying. Bye. Honestly, I appreciate you sticking through a stream, Lan. I'll catch you next stream. That's that. Let's see. Okay, so I have a bag. I have you display the input text that I want to display. Standard and line. And then I go with input text dot clear. Okay, I think whatever I type is gonna be displayed in my window here. And then I lowercase everything I type. I mean, isn't it like correct what I did here? I see some progress, but I don't know if it's like really stuff changing progress. Okay, I have a display history here. I didn't use my display history as this function. Let me go ahead and use that function real quick. Okay, maybe I might use my display history under my graphics. So I'm gonna go with something like my chat Damn, some people be pretty long, good villains in my opinion. That does make sense. It's iron, not land. Oh, honestly, I thought it was I. Okay, I'll get you an extreme iron. That's it. I'm gonna go with something like chat dot control space to get my function name here. Display history. Now my display history is a method requires two parameters. First is going to be my event variable. Second is going to be my chat on. So I'm going to go with something like my chat on variable, ending with a semicolon. Now, if I need controller to save the code and run the command, I should be able to see my histories. Okay, so let's get my window up here. Let's go ahead and on my chat type something like hello, hit enter. It says only you, but now if I close my chat by hitting my right shift, if I tab and H, it does not display my histories up here. Might have to look into that part as well. Let's see. Because I knew my function here was not the issue, because this is the exact same function as what I wrote before. Okay, although, what's the issue here then? Let's think. Maybe my chat is not displaying because I don't really display it. How do I not display my chat? Guys, let me really think. I display my text on my window. Could it be because of my font? My font size is pretty big. That gets small depending on my... Maybe my chat is really small that I can't even see it on my window. What if I go with something like 1? Actually 0.8. If I did control S to save the code and run the command and see what happens. Let's get my window here. I mean, I don't think my chat is like even being displayed because if I hit enter, I just see you here. For some reason, my chat is not being registered inside of my input text variables. I might have to fix that real quick. Let's scroll all the way down here. Actually, let's scroll all the way up here till my chat is class. Now, inside my input text, I'm doing something that my variable here is not being registered inside that. While my chat is on. Okay, maybe I remove my chat on this condition from here. Okay, because everything is working. I might just have to fix this part. Let's go with something like shift tab to de-indent. Maybe end this with a semicolon because I think I got to add a semicolon here, guys. Now if I did control S to save the code. Now regardless of what I type, my chat is going to be saved. Huh. Guys, I made one error that like history. Okay, font color. I did set my font color to be black. Let's go with a bunch of control C's. There we go. Wait, hold up, guys. So if chat on. Oh, I see. Okay. I might go ahead and copy this part. So let's delete this from there. And let's paste it all the way up here. Okay, don't change a lot of things without direction, I should say. Honestly, I do usually also say, but I want to actually figure this part as well because I feel I know what's wrong here. But if I couldn't figure this, I might actually also say slash ChatGPT. That's it. Let's get my first window here. Let's get my console here and my window here. Now, whatever I type, it should regardless be saved. So I'm going to type something like hello. It does not save here. Do I clear it before I can actually display it on my window type stuff? Display histories. I do clear my chat here. Maybe my display... Okay, display history should come under this. Where's my display chat? So I go... When I hit return, it says you. That is true. And then it goes with something like input text, which is... Oh, guys, I'm so stupid. There's... Guys, I'm so stupid. That wasn't even the issue here. I just forgot. I forgot to even start my chat. I forgot to even start my my text input. How is it even gonna work? I gotta go ahead and go all the way up here to my main loop and use the SDL_start text input. With a pair of parentheses that does require parameter of my window ending with a semicolon. SDL_start text input. There we go. Okay, perfect. Now if I did control S to save the code and run the command, guys, this is gonna work. That was so stupid, guys. I can't believe myself. Okay, let's go ahead and get my window all the way up here as well. Okay, perfect. Now let's go ahead and hit tap to type something like hello. Works. Guys, how did it take so long to figure this part out? Hello? It says hello here. Now if I go with if I close my chat, type something like tab and H, it should display my window here, because if I type something like hello, it doesn't work, tab H. But if I on it and type tab H, okay, my history still doesn't show. Let's fix my histories now. Guys, that was actually kind of annoying, not even gonna lie. I mean, although it does feel kind of good to fix that part after like a long time of figuring it out type stuff. Now, if my chat is not on, that's when I display my histories as well. So if I gotta click my tab plus H, instead I might just go with something like H. There we go. If I did Control S to save the code and run the command and see what happens. I get my console here. I wish the console and window just spawned in my main screen. Long story, code just got sent to the void. Okay, let's see. So let's type something like hello. Let's on my chat, type something like hello, and type something like how's your day question mark. And then let's hit enter. Guys, did my screen freeze or something? Hit enter. Okay, for now just one chat is being displayed on my window. So gotta fix that as well. Maybe to fix that, all I gotta do is get my let's scroll all the way down here to my main function. Actually, my main loop. I'm gonna get my chat on inside my loop because I want to change it every single iteration. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste it here. Now if I did Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my first window here. Actually, I get my console here and my window here. Let's type something like hello. Okay, my chat on should be outside my loop. I see. Then why can't I just type like one text and send it on my window? Why not multiple? Am I doing something wrong here? Let's scroll all the way up. So I have two variables here. The first, actually I have like key event that checks if my user, this is for my automation, so it might not be this. Let's scroll all the way up here. What code editor are you using? Honestly, I am using like Visual Studio. Okay, that's display text on Windows, so I display my text on my window. Let's see. Hold up, guys, I'm processing what just happened here. There, so my display text on Windows' function, excuse me guys, should most likely go above any of these functions right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and wait, I want to display my text on my window once I get something. So my text events is function here. After my text events is function, I want to go ahead and display my text on my window, and then I want to also display my text's history. Okay, let's see. So I go with push underscore back text inputs, and then I clear everything. I break as well. I need to make sure that my breaks are set correct. Is it really live or recorded then streamed? Honestly, it is live. It's live! Exclamation. Guys, I do get that a lot though. That's it. Let's see. So this is my histories. It seems live. He responded to me. This is live. That actually does make sense, guys. Okay, that's it. Let's see. So I have a break here. Okay, all my breaks are correct. So I have 2 breaks. That's perfect, actually. Okay, I think that should be it. Now, if I did Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my console here, and then I get my window up here. Hold up, guys. There we go. Let's get my window all the way up here. Let's enable my chat. Type something like hello. Hit enter. My chat is displayed on my window, right? And on my console. Moment of truth. Can I type something else? Hello? It works, guys. Now, if I were to close my chat, hit something like H, it does not display my histories. Okay, so only my histories is not being displayed. Okay, what my chat is faster than the video, is it? Okay, it's just because there's heaps of stream and mobile categories. Okay, that are just pre-recorded loops. That does actually make sense. Okay, so I did like fix the issue where like I keep displaying my chat on my window, but I cannot actually display my histories. Why can I not do that? My histories is vector, so everything from here is being pushed back inside of my histories as vector and then deleted. My deleting comes after I push it inside of my histories as vector. Okay, let's see. So if I hit enter, and then I get this. So if I go ahead and hit H, then I should be displaying my history on my window. And my chat must not be on, which means my chat should be off. Okay, I go with histories at index of I. Okay, I think this should work if I did control S to save the code and run the command again and see what happens. I get my console here, then waiting for my window. Okay, sometimes the window takes like a while to compile. If I were to on my chat type something like hello, hit enter and then close my chat, type something like H or uppercase H, nothing happens. I don't see my histories, I just see my window. How do I actually fix that part, guys? Let me actually see. Let's actually decrease the size. Exit that. Huh. If my event type is key down, if any of my buttons are being pushed down, okay, I use the SDL3 key codes structure if my case is H. There we go, guys. Can you guys guess what I messed up here? I didn't add a break statement, guys. I gotta go ahead and add a break. Let's go ahead and end it with a semicolon. I keep forgetting breaks in my cases. Now if I did control S to save the code again and run the command, this is gonna work, guys. I'm pretty sure it does. So I get my whatchamacallit, my console and my window here. Let's type something like hello. If I will close my chat and type something like H, okay, the break was not the issue. If I hit H, it does not display my window. Actually, it does not display the standard console output. Maybe, is it because my chat is set to off here? I have my chat set to on up there, so if my chat is not on, should I learn coding or wipe coding is fine? Honestly, I would like actually I'm pretty sure wipe coding is like just copying code from AI and like pasting it on your actual program type stuff. Fact check me, guys, though. I didn't like completely research in wipe coding, but I would recommend to actually learn coding where you understand what happens and you can literally like type stuff and you know what's actually going on in the code when you actually read it. One step forward, two step backwards. Guys, that does make sense. What am I messing up here? Let's think. If my chat is on, only if my chat is not on, I want to be displaying my histories up here. Okay, maybe I go ahead and copy my display histories. Okay, here's the thing. I save everything inside of I push everything back inside of my histories vector up here. So everything should be saved and then I go ahead and clear it. What if I didn't clear it at all? Would it like change something? I think it would like make this like even worse, but still, let's think. Always good to know what you're doing now. That does make sense. I'm making a startup. It's kind of hard. Learning would take time. Honestly, even if it does take time, I would say it's like really, really worth it. Like it took me like about 80-ish days to get like where I am right now in C++. It might take a bit less for you guys if you guys are like natural when it comes to coding type stuff. I just yell at Gemini to do this, guys. Getting at Gemini is kind of crazy. Okay, that said, learn as you go. That does make sense. No matter if we wipe code or we like code regularly, as long as we actually understand what we're doing and we like learn something from it, that does make sense. Okay, let's see. Standard console output. I display console output, right? It should work. Is my for loop wrong so far? Even if my for loop is wrong, my standard console output of history should be displayed. Maybe I go with something like Control A, Control C, copy this. Let's get some C/ChatGPT up here. Let's go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter and say something like, say, the reason my text was not displaying was because I did not start my text input using, let's say something like SDL_start text input function. Let's go with something like text input function. There we go. Although my histories section seems to be broken now because I can't see my history when I type H. Too bright, brother. Guys, I hate light mode. I hate like light mode actually as well. But when I did get my actual PC, I did not buy like a Windows key because that is like 200 bucks. So I did not get the privileges to actually change or like use dark mode type stuff. Okay, shine bright. Okay, my ChatGPT always comes in dark, guys. If you guys watch my old stream, my ChatGPT was like dark as well because I hate light mode, but I cannot like actually change it because I don't have like my Windows key. That said, people, you fixed the text input good, but now you summon a new bug demon. Your history is not showing because of one simple reason. You're checking for SDLK, but the actual type, it's the same thing. SD uppercase h and lowercase h should be the same thing. And your chat system automatically lowercases all inputs. This might make sense, guys. You don't need Windows setting for dark mode. You can just edit the web page. Can we? What up, guys? Let me actually test that because I think we do need that for dark mode. What up, guys? Let me go all the way here. Okay, why chat GPT? Honestly, just like learn this stuff to make all pages dark. I might actually look into it like off stream in that case. More tools has share, privacy, performance. Okay, I might actually look into this like off stream type stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and exit this for the time being. Gemini is better now. Honestly, yeah, that does make sense, but I feel like I've been using ChatGPT for a long time. Okay, that's it. Now, basically what's messed up here is I gotta go with lowercase h. Why didn't that make sense before? Because before when I wrote this exact same code, I like forgot that I did not have a to lower function. Now my to lower function makes my input lower. So, what happens if I go with something like a lowercase h? Would that work? Oh, I can't use lowercase h, so I'll have to do something else. This is gonna be uppercase h. Okay, let's go with something like a uppercase h. Okay, you can do it from ChatGPT settings too. Can I? I might actually try that in that case after the stream. Okay, then instead of my H key, I might go with something like my 1 key. If my user clicks 1, then I do this. Does it make some images display in negative colors, but it's well worth for the dark mode on everything? I see. Okay, that's it. Yeah, that does make sense because I hate light mode, honestly. If I hit control to save the code and run the command and see what happens, I get my console and I get my window up here. Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna type something like hello. Let's on my chat type something like hello. Okay, and then now if I close my chat and I type something like 1. Okay, it does not so display my histories. Now Gemini likes to do things its own way. ChatGPT beats Gemini. Honestly, that actually does make kind of sense, guys. I am kind of biased when it comes to ChatGPT, but I feel like Gemini is pretty good as well. That said, this part, okay, I don't think the H was the, I mean, logically the H does seem to be the issue here. Maybe I go ahead and just remove my to lower input text only for the time being here. Let's go ahead and remove my input text. Hit Control S to save the code and run the command. Let's see what happens. Okay, I get my first window up here. Let's get my second window as well. It's very much better now with Gemini 3 and they launched memories too, so it has context like ChatGPT too. That does sound kind of cool, guys. So I get my window here and I get my console here. Let's enable my chat, type something like hello. Let me go ahead and disable my chat, type H. Okay, so the uppercase and lowercase was not the issue here. The issue is something else, guys. Let's see. Encoding Gemini 3 Pro beats everyone for now. Oh, I see. I might actually try that in that case. Let's go with Control Z to get my lowercase back. And now for my chat history, what is it that I'm messing? Let me think really hard, guys. When a key is being pushed down, so if my event type, if my H is currently being pushed down, I display a standard console output, but for some reason, this part of my code is not actually being displayed. Display. Okay, did I really display it on my window? I don't like it's I know more behaviors. I see. Okay, let's see. So basically, I display my history here. So my text history should be shown in my graphics, but it does not. I mean, in my console, it does not display. Why does it not display? Let me think. Why could it be that it's not displaying? Okay, what are we trying to achieve? Honestly, when I hit H in my keyboard, I do want to like display my histories as a vector. That is basically my chat histories. So basically I save my I push my input text inside of my histories as a vector that is all the way here. Later on inside my display histories as function, I want to check if my chat is not on currently. If my chat is off, then I want to display my histories. If I hit H in my keyboard, just call history in console. I want to call it on my console, but then this code should call it on my console, but it does not call it on my console for some reason. Okay, let's see my for loop for the integer of I which equals to 0 while my I is less than my vector size. I increment my I by 1. Okay, so I go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is my history. And then I break. So I go with something like I add a case here and then I add a console output. Would it work without my console output? Does the console output mess things up here? If I were to control us to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my console here, I get my window here. Let's get my console a bit here, there we go. Let's enable my chat, type something like hello, hit H, maybe disable my chat, and then hit H. It does not display it on my console. Maybe I go to a bunch of control C stuff. Okay, now let's go with something like control A, control C, copy that. Let's get some C/chat/GP up here. Let's go ahead and paste this, go with shift enter and see something like, since say, I tried that by removing my H, by removing my to lower function, but it still does not display. Could it be some other issue, question mark? Okay guys, I want to see what issue is before I actually end the stream. People, I see the code and I'm about to grab you by the shoulders because the bug is right in front of you, in front of your face, and you still missed it. Probably you have to set some for the command H. Honestly, I don't think so. I did this before as well. Okay, listen carefully. The problem is not to lower, the problem is not SDL's case H, the problem is not the event loop anymore. Your history code never runs because chat on/off system is reversed. You activate chat with shift, okay, or shift, this means shift down, chat on equals to true, release chat on equals to false. Okay. Bro, you speak so fluent. Honestly, do I appreciate you for that, Harsh. Are you even planning to use the chat history for something important? Honestly, maybe I was trying to like add my AI-based text logic where my AI or like my PNG, my enemy slash my mage, it like changes its moods depending on my chat's history, if that makes any sense. That's it. I don't think I do need it for something important, but I do want to see why it doesn't work. If not chat on, show history, look at how you type H. If my SDL's key is H. I didn't go with lowercase h. Or did I? I don't think I did. Okay, let's scroll all the way up here. Okay, no, I guess lol na. Didn't you try this and still didn't work? GPT trolling, guys. That's what I'm saying. It's like chat GPT at the start is pretty good, but then eventually when stuff gets a bit complicating, it does make a lot of mistakes. So like we do gotta know what we're doing type stuff. That's it. I think I got the main idea of what Sensei/ChatGPT was trying to say. Let's remove this thing. Let's set it to be true. Hit enter. Let's see. I get my first window. Actually, I get my console here and then my window here. Okay, now if I hit enable my chat, I type something like hello. Disable my chat, type H. It does not display. Might have to look at this off stream, guys, because I have been streaming like for 3.5 hours. I do want to actually, whatchamacallit. Let's see, I am kind of starving as well. Try Gemini 3 Pro once. Okay, I could actually type something like Gemini 3. Okay, so Gemini AI. Let's see. So is this how we start Gemini? Because I've honestly never used Gemini. I think I used like Copilot, but I haven't like tried Gemini. Let me try it. Okay, let's go with something like Google. Maybe I go with that. Okay, let's continue. Okay, guys, it's like Gemini Premium type stuff because it says like like $20 for a month type stuff. Might have to skip that part. Wait, did it say Nano Banana? Okay, I might actually look into it later. In that case, you should have a master prompt in a note which explains the prompt, and when he got dumb, just change conversations. It's needed, even Claude needed. That does make sense. It could be because whatchamacallit, I do like having master prompt type stuff. That's it. I have been using this chat for like the past 5 streams right now because I've been using the same whatchamacallit, the same chat. Okay, try printing out what the value key is before going into switch statements. That does make sense. Okay, I didn't actually print that, but for some reason my H is not executing because I don't even see my regular standard console output here. Use official site. I might actually do that next stream because this stream, guys, I feel like I gotta go right now. Let's see. Gemini is expensive. That does make sense, guys. Like $20 for like a month is actually kind of crazy. That's it. Let's see. So I go with something like history.size. I increment my by 1 and then his standard console output. Let me think really hard. What is going on? I mean, oh wait, maybe if I run the code, guys, I was actually thinking something. Hold on, guys, it might be a really silly mistake from my part. If I enable my chat, I type something like hello, I type something like hello again, okay, and then I close my chat, type H. That doesn't work. Could it be because my chat is not being turned off? It is actually being turned off though. Yeah, because your history is only printing if that matches the SDL's KH. That does make sense. Okay, just try once, you'll find the solution instantly. It's free Gemini Pro for 12 months for students. I see, I might actually look into that after the stream. Gemini is free and anti-gravity, but it's full wipe code. I don't recommend it. Honestly, in that case, I might actually use it. Oh, I do know where I'm messing up now. Guys. Maybe I go ahead and copy this entire event type. Okay, delete this from here. I mean, I know this part is not like actually recommended type stuff and all that, but let me copy this real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and delete this section. I'm gonna be pasting this inside of my event loop. You just gotta search Gemini Google. I might actually look into that though. Okay, so I'm gonna remove my display histories from here. And let's paste that all the way here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and paste that all the way here. Now this is my histories.size, so I might go with something like chat.history.size. Okay, and then this is going to be my chat.history at index of I. Okay, now to get that, I can use my history because this is private data member, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that, delete it from here, and paste it here. Did I run the code somehow, guys? Let's go ahead and exit that. I want to go ahead and paste that here. Now let's scroll all the way down. He said next stream, bro, stop trolling him, bro. Try it once. Honestly, I do like actually try it, but then whatchamacallit, I need to actually like learn a few basics or something before I actually do, like, because before I start my stream, like the programming content aside, I do actually prefer getting some knowledge before starting it out. Okay, that's it. I get my first window here and I get my second window here. Let's enable my chat, type something like hello. Okay, I have my console up here, displays hello. Let's go ahead and close my chat and hit H. It works now, guys. That actually fixed it. Perfect. Technically, what I did was I just removed my chat from my from my class, and I added it inside of a main loop because I want to change my chat on and off every single time. I don't know how it worked, guys, but it did work, guys. Because I have gotten this error a lot of times adding my content from my class inside of my main loop. Actually, my event loop does fix half these things. Okay, yo, it's just prompt machine. What you mean you need knowledge? Honestly, not like that. Like how to like install and everything. Like I need a basic knowledge on how to use the AI type stuff. Hey, let's go. It works. This actually looks like some good work. Keep it up. Honestly, I appreciate you first. That's nice. Let's go. Let me actually try some more. I'm gonna type something like hello, my name. I spelled name wrong, guys. Let's go with something like my name is the universe! Exclamation. Okay, let's hit enter. Okay, wait, did this part glitch or something? I added 2 hellos. Mission successful, let's go. Guys, next stream I'm actually going to be working on making my NPC reply according to what I actually chat type stuff. That said, let's go with something like hello. Displays on my window. Actually, on my console, I'm going to type something like hello again. Displays on my console, I'm going to type hello again. Displays on my console, let's say something like my name is. Displays on my console. I'm going to go with shift, disable my chat, type H. That displays my history, which says hello, 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 my name is. Now, I want to on my chat again, type something like hello. Okay, perfect, it works. Go with H. Disable my chat and type something like H. Perfect, guys, it actually works. This is kind of nostalgic now for some reason. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and go with Control-A, Control-C. Whoops. Go with Control-A, Control-C. Copy that. Gets it slash chat GP here. Let's go ahead and paste it. Go with Shift Enter and see something like Sensei. It works! Exclamation. Okay, that said, I am actually planning to end the stream right now because I am kinda exhausted. Okay, guys, I have been streaming for like 3.5 hours. That said, before I do end the stream, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers? Question mark. Okay, how did you start that project in the beginning? Did you ask ChatGPT or did you watch tutorials? Honestly, I just did it like from I knew like what I wanted to do. Like firstly, I wanted to load PNGs, I wanted to add text logic. So depending on that, I did like add everything. Like once I do end the stream, if you go to the very beginning of my stream, I did like write the project from scratch all the way from there. That's it. What's the final goal for this project? Honestly, the final goal for this project is like my NPC, it replies depending on its mood. So my mood changes depending on how my chat's history was going. So if my histories had more hellos, my mood is going to be neutral, not too bad, not too good. If my chat had more, or if my histories had more attack stuff, like more like my player tries to attack my mage and everything, my mood is going to change from neutral to angry, and it's going to reply depending on that type of stuff. If that makes any sense, guys. Although that does sound kind of complex, I might continue this next stream. Okay, props both. He said it took him 80 days to learn what he knows so far. I think honestly I did. That's it, people. Listen, and the viewers, open your ears wide. You saw Vivek drag himself through logic, through bugs, through pure mental acid, and he still got that code running. This is what actual progress looks like. Not pretty, not glamorous, just real. Everyone watching. The difference between someone who dreams and someone who builds is simple. The builder doesn't stop because they're tired. They stop when their work is done. Vivek showed that today. Now go rest, people. Even a blade needs time on the wheatstone, is how I pronounce it, to stay sharp. Tomorrow you sharpen again. I learned 75% of JavaScript in one day. Guys, one day is actually kind of insane. That's it. Let's go to my main screen. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it for the stream. If you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like it. My algorithm sharing makes you smile, and subscribe because I get cherry on top. Guys, I think I said that wrong. That's it, but I covered all the basics. Oh, I see. That's it. What should we call it? I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on Instagram and TikTok as well. So if you guys do enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to follow me there. The link is going to be in the description. Okay, and also join the Discord server. That's where I usually talk to you guys and also like answer questions if you guys have questions in general. That's it. The link will be in the description as well. And before I do end the stream, I want to check if my Nightbot works. I want to type something like exclamation Discord. I think I spelled Discord wrong, guys. What up? It's hard to type in my phone after typing in my laptop on my keyboard for a while. Okay, Nightbot does not work, guys. I am actually trying to figure out why Nightbots is like timers and messages does not work. I'll figure that out next stream, and I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or video. Peace.